Alrighty, and we're on.
All right, man. Where do we start?
Where do we start? So, I'm sitting here with Kai Vuong, is that right? Vuong?
Yeah.
It's been how many years since I've probably seen you last?
It was, before I met Wendy, right?
Yeah.
Well, I did see you at the event.
Okay, yeah. But I didn't
But
see you guys that
right.
night because you didn't say hello.
We couldn't. You were so busy.
True.
But yeah, that was probably 2007.
2007.
I feel like around there.
Yeah, bring that a bit closer.
Okay.
So, yeah, and how this podcast came up was that it's probably like a year ago, right? Close to a year ago, maybe.
This podcast?
No, as in like when Wendy passed.
8 months about. Yeah.
8 months.
Yeah, last 24/7. So 24th of July.
24th of July.
Yeah.
And Jason Chan was the one that messaged me and said, "Oh, have you heard?" And at the time, I was just like, "What the?" Like I was sort of a bit shocked that something like that had happened. It's quite tragic. Wendy passed away, and literally would have been a couple of weeks ago. This thought popped into my head that I should reach out to you and check in, see how you're doing, because obviously I didn't get the chance to do that when I had found out. And then I thought, there's probably a lot to unpack there. And at the same time, part of the reason why I started the podcast is to be able to share people's stories. And so I felt like, it's probably a good chance to give you the opportunity to share some of Wendy's story as well. Because, like going through having a friend that passed away and having my own dad pass away last year, I've thought a lot about when we're truly gone from this world, and it's not actually when we pass away, it's when we're forgotten.
Yeah.
And so that's part of the reason, I guess, why people love writing books, because it's their way of like getting immortalized on paper.
Leaving a mark, right?
Yeah, you're leaving. If there's one way for people to sort of leave a mark on the world, it's to write a book. And
technology is so good now. Like we can film videos so quick with our phones. Our grandparents couldn't do that, so they didn't have many pictures of themselves.
Yeah,
right. Not even in color as well. So we're very lucky.
Yeah, we're very fortunate in that regard. And so it was just one of those things where I was like, I reached out to you, and we had a phone conversation. And I was just like, all right, well, let's do it. We're gonna go deep. This is my little warning.
I actually didn't think we were going to be filming today. I thought I was just going to have you over to discuss what we're going to talk about and have some questions lined up. But like, I'm impromptu as well, so yeah, I can just go with it.
Yeah. So we're going to get pretty deep on some subjects. So I think I might as well just put the warning out here. Like, if you're going to be offended by some of the things that we talk about, whether it's like suicide, whether it's religious stuff, then you can tune out now.
Metaphysical, especially.
Yeah. But I want to give Kai the opportunity to sort of express himself as well, because you've been through a lot, man, over the last 7 months, and then
still going through things, man. I think it's meant to happen. If you're going through nothing, you're deadlining, like you're flatlining in life.
Yeah.
I think emotions are what keep you alive, even if it's bad.
Yeah.
And
So we'll get to the story about how you and Wendy found each other, but I sort of want to bring it back to before that and understand a bit more about you growing up. So where did you grow up, and what was life for you like?
I grew up in Fairfield.
Yep.
Actually, my parents they chose not to live in Cabramatta because of what was happening in that time. Right, they didn't want us to hang around, go to school there and everything. I'm grateful for that because I didn't really get into the drug scene and stuff. So Fairfield is like home to me, but I've gotten used to Leppington now, so I actually like the area. It's very peaceful. I lived on a main road back then, so I was always used to noise. Yeah, so I'd never complain while I'm sleeping.
All the cars going past, and all that sort of stuff.
What else?
So, do you have any fond memories? Like obviously of growing up in Fairfield, like maybe something that happened around the house or something at school.
Now, every memory with my family, I'm fond of now. We have a big family, so we used to, I guess, it was first come, first serve with food. Yep. So you'd have to rush and grab the meat first. But we always left, the last piece of meat. I think that's an Asian thing anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, you're trying to be polite. You've just scoffed like 90% of the plate, but you leave the last piece and then...
Yeah, so
I didn't take the last one.
We got used to eating a lot of carbs because there wasn't as much meat. Yeah?
Yeah.
So that's... We learned to share.
Yeah.
We weren't all greedy. Yeah.
So how many in your family?
So there's 7 of us, and I'm second youngest.
Okay, so hang on a second. So your parents?
Yep.
And then how many siblings?
So I have 3 brothers and 3 sisters.
3 brothers and 3 sisters. So there's 7 siblings in total. So
yeah.
Wow. Well, that household would have been absolutely insane.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah?
Chaotic.
I have people pull me up on the street and when they see me with my 4 kids, and they're like, "How do you do it?" And you had, there's 7 of you guys.
It's probably easier back then, right? But nowadays it's harder with definitely the interest rates, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
everything's like very expensive.
Yeah, yeah.
The grocery shopping alone is like,
Yeah, yeah. And keeping up with the Joneses, man, with kids, they have everything now.
yeah. Oh,
Right.
yeah.
There's no hand-me-downs now.
We've been pretty fortunate. My kids, like, because I got 3 girls, like the girls can all do the hand-me-downs.
Yeah, okay.
And then my son's probably lucky because he's the only boy, so he's always getting, I guess, new stuff, so to speak.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was it like, with all those siblings in the household? Like, do you have any fond memories of playing with them, or like were you guys arguing all the time, or?
Well, I probably was the one that didn't really argue with people. So I always wanted to work with people, really. I saw all the fights. They were fighting over the shower, banging on doors and everything, right? So all of my older siblings probably were fighting more, and I was just watching. Me and my younger brother were watching, right? So I get along with a lot of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I really enjoyed the couch co-op, playing games together in the same room. It was like 4 brothers in one room. We had 2 bunk beds.
Oh wow!
So I was just watching my older brother. That's how I grew up.
Wow.
Yeah.
And so what position were you out of the 7?
Second youngest.
Second youngest. Yeah. Wow. So you're still sort of like, I guess you're in the middle because you're not the last one. You're not on either the top or the tail, so to speak.
And what's that? The middle of the child gets no attention.
Yeah. Was that what it was like for you?
I guess so. Yeah. So that's why I try to stand out a little bit. That's why I guess I was in bodybuilding, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's funny, isn't it?
Yeah.
The dynamic does happen. Group dynamics.
Yeah.
In families as well.
So then, what about at school? Like, what kind of kid were you at school? What did your teachers used to say about you?
I was actually a quiet achiever. So I was very shy, actually. Yeah.
Yep.
But quite switched on when I needed to be. I did everything last minute though. So I recently found out I had ADHD. I think a lot of people do have ADHD. Everyone's on the spectrum of some sort.
Yeah.
But you know what? I embrace it now. Yeah.
So with the ADHD, like how did you find out that you've got it, or was it like self-diagnosis, or was?
I think a lot of it is self-diagnosis. Like how do you get diagnosed? It's just like a survey. Right? There's no like chemical proof that you have it.
Well, when I was in school, my teachers would tell my mum that I had ADD at the time. I think it was ADD. They didn't call it ADHD. Then I got told I had ADD, and they would ask my mum questions like, does he drink a lot of red cordial and all this sort of stuff, and they would want to sort of medicate me, with Ritalin or whatever. And my mum was kind of like, being an Asian mum, she's like, no, like, yeah, whatever, like, no, just deal with it, right, kind of thing.
That's right.
But I think it was just probably more of a factor that I was one of the younger ones in the grade. So I started school when I was, I would have just like, I was 4 turning 5. Yeah, I think I was 4 turning 5. Yeah.
Okay.
And nowadays, like, a lot of parents like hold their kids back, and so they only start them in school in the year that they're turning 6. Yep. So I think I guess me, sort of thinking about it, perhaps that was the reason why I was, very immature. Maybe, I don't know if immature is the right word.
Did you have a chaotic household when you were young? Because they say it's linked to zoning out if there was a chaotic household.
Oh, when you say chaotic, like, it's funny, the first memory that comes to my mind was this time my parents were having a fight. I wouldn't say my household was chaotic, but I just remember this particular fight where my mum was pissed off about something bad, and like they were throwing plates at each other.
How old were you? Was that 2, 3?
We were young because this was it was below the age of 10 because after 10 we moved to a different house. So it was in the first house that I grew up in. And I remember my mum throwing plates. My mum actually smashed a plate over my dad's head and he needed to get stitches. And then my brother and I, for whatever reason, we got lined up. And yeah, I can't even remember what
It's just that one memory. It wasn't like a constant thing that were fighting a lot.
No.
Okay.
Yeah. So I wouldn't say my household was chaotic, but when you mention chaos, like that's probably like my chaotic memory. I think, I don't think it was necessarily that my household was chaotic. I think my parents were just always working. So as a result of that, as a kid, you find your own ways to entertain yourself.
Yep. Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. How about you? Like, what was it for you? What do you think?
I had all the siblings, so that was entertaining enough. Fights everywhere. So
yeah, that's true.
we got into gaming a lot, so I played a lot of games when I was young. I think that was the start of the dopamine addiction, I guess.
Yeah.
But also, I think it's hereditary. So my dad, I think, has it too.
What? What was he into?
I think gambling runs deep in our ancestors. I only recently found out from my parents, our grandparents, there were casinos back then.
Wow.
Yeah,
Yeah, and they love to play.
yeah, and they're somehow my dad's really good at it.
Oh, really?
He knows how to manifest.
Okay,
Yeah.
there you go. So then, what did your parents do for work? Out of curiosity.
They ran a bread shop in Fairfield.
Okay.
Yeah, when they came here, so they were boat people.
Yep.
The first business was the bread shop, and then they moved into electronics after that, and then I think they retired after that. So
Oh wow.
yeah,
Well, they're obviously doing quite well to be able to maintain a household with 7 of you guys in it.
yeah. So they're a bit older than like other parents, like I know, like my friend's parents. So they came here first, and they're one of the first bread shops. So
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah. The Vietnamese bread shops are like, they're a staple of society in Australia now. Like
Yeah.
I think everybody knows what a banh mi is nowadays.
yeah, yeah. Every race knows.
Yeah.
as well.
So then, so yeah, like in terms of like when you went to high school and things like that, like what kind of kid were you in high school?
I think I was very shy.
Still
I
shy?
think I guess I didn't talk much for sure. That's for sure. But I feel like I haven't changed too much.
Mm.
So I'm still expressive in my own way. I kind of do what I want, and I don't overthink it too much sometimes too.
Yeah.
I follow my heart with what I do.
Yeah.
So if something doesn't feel right, if I'm studying something that's not right, it becomes draining on me,
Mm.
and so I don't actually pay attention.
So what subjects did you end up doing?
I actually enjoyed economics. I came first in economics, so
Economics?
yeah. Because I think it's a lot to do with patterns and charts, and I like that stuff.
Patterns and charts.
Yeah.
So have you always had this fascination with patterns and charts, or
I think understanding patterns, I think it's an ADHD trait. We love to observe and like use pattern recognition on people, anything, events.
Mm.
I think we're always processing something,
Yeah.
to make sense of it. And that actually led me into the crypto world for 4 years. I went to trading.
Oh, really?
Yeah, later on.
Shit. Okay.
So it manifests. Later.
Yeah, we'll segue into that because I'm very curious about what that was like for you. So then, when it came towards the end of high school, right? Like, did you have any idea what you wanted to do after that?
I'm trying to remember. Okay, now I remember. So I admired Arnold, obviously, and Jackie Chan, and who was the last one? Sylvester Stallone.
Okay.
Those three. And obviously Goku.
Yeah.
So I think you indoctrinate yourself when you watch these things when you're young, especially when you're young.
Mm.
And you don't realize it affects you so much because you fall in love with them.
Mm.
It's an emotional attachment that runs deep in your soul, and you bring it through your whole life.
Yeah.
That's why I guess I run the business around Dragon Ball.
Yeah.
I'm in bodybuilding from Arnold.
Mm.
I literally watched Terminator every day when I came home from like year 1 or 2.
Really?
I think I watched it like 100 times, but once every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if that's ADHD anymore. That might be what.
That's yeah. No.
On the spectrum for sure.
No. Yeah. Like you're definitely hyper focusing on something.
Yeah.
Yeah. And what was it about like the Terminator movie? It was just how cool Arnold was, or was it just?
Yeah, I think it was very cool. The whole action scene, it bred an entire bodybuilding industry, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so it was them 3 guys, Bruce Willis,
Mm.
actually Van Damme as well, and Sylvester and Arnold.
Yeah.
And they were competing, making movies, right?
Yeah. The action flicks of the 90s, right?
And to this day, it's ripples through every country.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then, what did you get into after you left high school? So what were you doing?
I went to uni. Did a double degree, so business and computing. I think I was in my last semester, and I dropped out on a distinction average.
Whoa! You got to talk me through this. So,
Yeah.
what's the rationale there? So you started uni.
I was doing
you're
parkour,
doing really well.
the parkour business. We were teaching parkour. We
Yep.
made it a business. We were probably one of the first ones to make it a business in Sydney.
Yeah.
And I saw, I guess, a future in that.
Mm.
So I took the leap.
And you had 1 semester to go.
Yeah, but I think that's the ADHD part as well. So
Yeah.
maybe I failed one subject, and I was like, no, I can't do this again.
I'm done. Yeah.
Yeah. It's not what I want to do.
Yeah.
That's why I didn't do good. I didn't want to focus on that subject. Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about the parkour thing.
Yeah.
Right. So when did you first start getting into that? And
Oh man, it's so long ago. I think it was like must have been 2007, first year of uni maybe.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, is it 2006 or 7? Somewhere around there.
Yeah. And how did you get into it? It was just you had some mates that were doing it, or
I think there's a lot of synchronicities. So it's like we saw it on videos. Again, I tell you, videos when you watch on YouTube, it impacts you so much. So it was me and my friend David. I don't know if you know David. He came to Shaolin as well.
Yeah.
There's some universal synchronicity because we were looking for parkour group or something like that because we love Jackie Chan, right?
Mm.
And then he found a tricking group or parkour tricking group, and that was Night Court Team 9 Lives, right?
Yeah.
And that just so happens to be 1 minute from my house.
Oh, really?
That they trained. I'm like, let's go check it out.
Yep.
And it was a strange thing because I don't know if I should be saying this, but I think some guys were leaving that group, and that night, 3 of us joined. There's some synchronicity there for sure.
Yeah.
So we were the new members for the next 4 years,
Mm.
and it was an amazing experience. I think a lot of us that were in that team at the time, a lot of fond memories.
Yeah.
Like we always remember the
Yeah.
feelings around there. Training in the streets at night
Mm.
with 70 children. I think we changed the whole scene of Fairfield for a bit.
Yeah.
It felt very safe to be around
Yeah.
Fairfield. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those things where I always say, like, any business, any organization, it's always about the people. And Shaolin was like that at one point as well, where it's like, I have so many fond memories when I was growing up and doing Kung Fu just because of the people that I was around, and you build this team and you have this,
It's like a family, right?
yeah, this emotional connection
Yeah.
with these people, right? And you see this in almost any, whether it's a team sport, whether it's a combat sport, like anything where you're doing things together.
Experiencing emotions together, right?
Yeah,
The pains, the growth.
Yeah, pains, growth, stimulation.
Yeah.
Like there's learning, like all of those sorts of things go hand in hand, and it's quite. I think sometimes people don't quite grasp just how important the people are, and a lot of the times when things start to fall apart, it's because whether through life, people change and people need to go, or they move, or they go and experience other things, and then you lose a few core members of that group, and then it just doesn't feel the same.
What do you think it is like that makes them want to leave? Is it like they're not growing enough, or they're definitely not getting something out of it, or
There's so many factors,
yeah,
right? Like I think
happens everywhere, right?
it happens in any discipline, and I think it's actually just a part of life because at certain points in your life, things are going to be very important to you. Like as an example, like I'm sure 9 Lives at that point in your life was like this thing's
Everything.
is everything, right?
Yeah.
You're putting so much effort into training and all of those sorts of things, and then sometimes it can be things like you always have to have in any group, in any business, there's always a leader, and then when the leader's values or their vision no longer aligns with like the majority of the group,
Yep.
things fracture.
Yeah.
And when those things fracture, that's when you have like this massive sort of fallout. And it's because like a lot of the times when people start things is that they don't necessarily they haven't really thought about like, what is the end point of this, or where are we trying to get to with this? You start on the journey because you find it fun and interesting,
Yeah.
right? And so then you attract all these people that just find it fun and interesting.
That's right. If you start from there,
Yeah.
it's only going to go downhill if you start
Yeah.
making it a system structured,
Yeah.
money involved, all that stuff, right?
Yeah. And so that's the thing is because like, then when money gets involved and then people go, well, I've been here since the start. Like, where's my share, right? And then it's like, because things were never clear and laid out correctly in the first place, then it becomes a sticking point and it generates animosity. Anytime we feel like we've been hard done by, or, we're not getting our fair share or our fair due for the work that we do, then that's when those things just go pear-shaped, right? And so, I don't really know what happened for you in 9 Lives. Perhaps you can sort of...
It's probably the similar thing.
Similar thing.
Yeah, when the more money is involved, then there's more entitlement.
Yeah.
It happens in group assignments in uni as well, right? There's always one pulling more weight, and then they go, that guy didn't pull any weight, and he's still getting the same marks as everyone.
Yeah.
But if we can let go of that, if we can like truly do things because we just want to do it and not expect a reward from it, attach the dopamine to the process, not what you get, I think that will resolve a lot of the problems. You know,
There's
you
a
know how to share more.
yeah. Well, there's a reality to it too, right? Because you know, I sort of always espouse this idea that things need to be commercial, because when things aren't commercial, like, and this is not a slight on anybody that says, oh, I like doing charity and all this sort of stuff. This is more like everybody has a limit in terms of what they can shoulder, right? And so when you're doing things without that doesn't have a lot of reward, and you say like, oh, I'm doing it for because I love it or I'm passionate about it,
right? Yeah.
right? You're convincing yourself. Like that often becomes a place where then there is there's opportunities for those people to take advantage of that, and then they just basically whether they embezzle funds,
Get you, and then you feel drained eventually anyway, right?
well, if there's money then coming in for that particular enterprise, they're going to want to grish some of that money, because they're like, well, I'm doing all the work, I deserve this money.
Yeah.
But then it becomes a bit dishonest, right? Whereas if you start with the idea that, okay, if I'm going to do this, you know, like as an example, if I'm going to start this parkour team and the goal is we are going to make it commercial and we're going to pay based on, and you try and set up a structure that is sort of like transparent,
like an actual company, right?
Like, a company, right? Rather than it's just, oh, you know, a group of guys, we got together, we
That's
love
where
doing
the saying
parkour.
comes, don't do you know, business with friends and stuff. But
Yeah, like well, I think, you know, the problem with doing business with friends is because people aren't comfortable having those hard conversations.
Yeah.
To go and say, okay, so if we're going to do this as a commercial enterprise and we're going to spend, let's say, I don't know, $2,000 establishing ourselves, like register a business, ABN, all this sort of stuff, who's going to do our taxes? Who's going to do the invoicing?
Yeah.
Who's going to do
clear roles, right?
Who's going to do the sales?
Yeah.
Because people are just like, well, I don't have any experience in that. Or like, you know, you never really thought about that. And then, you know, because there isn't that sort of clear delineation. Like I know you guys used to get booked for gigs, right?
Yeah.
And like you were doing like shows at Westfields and like all those sorts of types of things, right?
That's where it starts and stuff. Yeah, we did a lot of things. So there were the classes and the performances, and I think the short films and stuff. So similar to Shaolin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, you know, like, yeah. So there comes a point then it's like, okay, well, if people feel like they're doing all the work, and sometimes it's just because the roles of the people that might be actually doing the real work in terms of like helping you guys to find those opportunities, doing the sales, the marketing and all that sort of stuff, those roles aren't clearly defined, right? So then people take those things for granted. And I think you only really appreciate this when you go into business for yourself. And that's why I think, you know, you've come to this point where it's like, okay, yeah, like money might have been what sort of broke the group apart, but you can also now appreciate on the other side. It's like, well, there's a whole bunch of other things that, you know, go into making a business, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, doing all yourself is actually it's hard. You have to play every role, right?
Yeah.
But at least you're not arguing with anyone. But you need to work with people.
Yeah.
If contract people, you know.
Yeah.
I think that's what you got to imagine. Everyone's like a contractor. Even as an employee for a company, I think you should always think of yourself. You're a contract. You sign a contract, so you value yourself like you're your own business that you're offering in the company, your service. You're getting paid this salary, which is like, you know.
Yeah.
Your contracting fee.
Yeah, that's right.
It's a better way of thinking it than just saying, oh, I'm just a slave for this company.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think, you know, if you always operate with that sort of ethos, then you'll get the right result. You know, I had a manager who told me, you know, if you have a boss that you don't like or a manager that you don't like, this is in the corporate world. So he said, if you have a manager that you don't like, you should be working just as hard, because then that manager will get promoted and then you won't have to deal with them again.
That's true.
So, but, you know, a lot of the times people get into that mentality of, oh, F that guy, you know, I'm not going to do shit for this guy kind of thing. And then, you know, the only person that ends up hurting is yourself, right? Like it's basically that saying of cutting your own nose off to spite your face. You know, like there's plenty of examples that sort of run through my mind when I think about that. But sorry, to come back onto the parkour thing, like what are some of the things that you feel that parkour teaches you that, you know, through doing the training and the experience of like performing, like what are some of the lessons that you learned through that?
Definitely getting over obstacles, man. Like getting over your fears. So flowing with it. You know, I think when you fight something, that's when you hurt, because if you tense up and you know, jump over a concrete wall, and you shin yourself, and you tense up, that's gonna hurt even more. If you flow with it, it hurts less. Yeah,
Still hurts.
yeah. You can convert the energy, you transfer the energy. Yeah. So that's like a parkour roll, right? For example, you land from a height. If you don't flow with it and roll, your energy just goes straight into your knees and you'll break your knees or ankles, right?
Yeah.
Something like that. So that transfers into your life as well, the philosophy of life. I think that's why I'm able to deal with a lot of trauma. Yeah, I definitely use those philosophies, and I'm grateful for all of those experiences.
Yeah.
It's also the reason why I met Wendy, I feel.
Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Wendy. So when did that when did you guys meet?
We met in late 2011, December.
Like 2011. Yep. Okay. And how did you guys meet?
It was actually I filled in for an event. It was the disability event at the Powerhouse Youth Theatre.
Okay.
I filled in to do the videography for it.
Okay.
And because one of my friends was sick on that day, and a lot of people had been telling us to meet before that. So they were like, "Have you met Wendy before?" I'm like, Alan's sister. And I'm like, no, I didn't even know you had a sister. I didn't think anything of it, right? But we had literally five people have told me to meet her because we talk the same. We talk about the same things and mention the same things. And they feel like they're talking to the same person. Yeah. But at that event, when we crossed paths in a room, it was like an hour into the event, I didn't even see her. We crossed paths, I looked at her and we just locked eyes. I'm like, hey, like as if I knew her for a very long time. It was strange familiarity.
Wow.
Yeah. And from then on, I think that day she had to go off to somewhere. I just remember saying one thing to her. I turned around and said, "We're meant to work on something together." And I just nodded and she just smiled. And then we walked off.
And so you didn't get a number or anything?
Not really, no. Oh no, at the event we did talk a lot because she said she wanted to be like a journalist or some sort.
Yeah.
Because she's extrovert, she loves talking. And I was the videographer, so I was like, why not start now?
Yeah.
I will film you and you
yeah.
start, you host the event, I guess, in this video. And she did it. She was so up for it. She was just having fun, you know?
Yeah.
And that was, someone has the footage. I need that footage.
All right. Well, if you're watching this and you have Kai's footage.
Yeah.
Okay.
That is priceless to me.
Yeah.
I'll pay for it. Yeah.
Yeah, wow. And so what was that event for? Sorry, the Powerhouse Museum?
National Disability Day, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so what were you, so as a videographer, like what were you filming, just the event itself? Or?
Yeah, just logging the event.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then, wow, okay. And so then what happened from there? Like when did you guys?
We talked nonstop. I think our chats, we have 40,000 messages in that small period, a few months. Wow. And yeah, it was about the world, the universe, how people are, how to help people, how to deal with trauma. It's insane. We connected on such a deep level.
Yeah. So, for me, when I met Wendy, she would have been really young. Like, this was back when, I was teaching at Shaolin. And I remember her and her friend Razme. She had a friend Razme. And, like obviously they were just part of we used to have like almost 100 kids there.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Big classes and a lot of fun. Good culture, and we obviously did lots of line dancing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, you're a cool instructor, man. You definitely made us want to go back.
Yeah, well, good.
Very welcoming.
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, it's I've been on this sort of tangent. Sorry, just to segue a little bit, but I'm on this tangent, at the present moment where it's quite interesting when you look at like dynamics in the world. And I'm sorry, I'm going off topic, but we'll get back onto topic. But I think this is kind of interesting.
Let's just play with it.
Yeah, because like there's almost like two worlds at the present moment. There's this online world that whatever you see on socials, and then there's this reality, and the online world is getting kind of weird.
Right? Everyone's wearing masks, masquerade masks.
No, it's like with AI and stuff. Like I had this video pop up on my feed, and it was like this giant squid getting washed. And it was like, it's all AI generated, but it was just saying like it was like a squid rescue, and then this giant squid asked for help, and then they're washing this squid. Yeah. And like when you're looking at the squid looks real. Like
you watched the whole thing, didn't you?
Of course I watched the whole thing.
That's so interesting.
I was like, what? They're washing this squid? Like if I was that squid, I'm gonna eat you. Like or an octopus or whatever. Yeah, I think it was an octopus. And and then you have a quick browse of the comments, and like then you realize, oh yeah,
it's not real.
It's all fake, right? But then I look at like how many likes, how many shares, how many comments are on the video. Like, yeah, some of it's probably outrage, right? Like people are like, oh, you can't just, use this to try and say that you're helping animals when it's all fake and AI generated, right? But it just made me start thinking and really, contemplating this whole online world, because as we start to move into this pathway where, videos can be generated with a prompt and you get AI to then generate whatever it is that you're looking for. Like it's getting kind of difficult to find. Yeah. Like to find.
It's like our dreams, right? Our dreams can be anything. It's almost like now it's in a video.
Yeah.
And they can make anything real.
Well, they're manifesting it like in that online world, right?
Right.
And so, yeah, like I've been thinking a lot about it just from the perspective of like what you see online and like how that makes you feel when you watch some of these things versus the real world experiences and like when you have that transfer of energy by, that's part of the reason why I do the podcast face to face.
It's going to get very scary for you then. I'll tell you that. You know why? I'll show you this. It's only going to get more real with VR.
Ah, yeah.
Like if this can convince you with its screen resolution, if it can replace reality, then what's real? Like your senses will be so convinced.
Yeah.
And if you go through a traumatic experience in VR, it's just as real as in a real life experience. Like I'm hanging, like you've been using it recently, and I've been hanging out with like just like 2D, like very cartoon graphics, like a social world.
Yeah.
But you're still interacting with people and there's still emotions around connecting.
Yeah.
I guess because there's the voice, right? But it's only going to get crazier, man.
Yeah.
I really believe that the Ready Player One world will come into existence, maybe 20 years even.
Yeah. Like AR is going to be a huge thing, augmented reality.
Yeah.
Where, with some glasses, you could walk down the street and instead of seeing the world for what it is, you're seeing this alternative reality, which is probably engineered to spike your dopamine and to make it more engaging so that, it's going to make you feel like for living in the real world.
You won't even need to be here physically. You'll be a hologram.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it'll feel almost just as real, I guess.
Yeah, well, this is why I'm resisting, right? I'm resisting. I'm resisting on that side of things. I feel like there's still, so that's, to go back to why I went on this tangent was because you mentioned the instructing thing. And I think there's, a real value in providing that physical sort of, being there and that presence to instructing and coaching and teaching people.
Yep.
There's a lot of businesses online and it's not a slight on those businesses. I think they're trying to do a great thing because, you could reach, same thing like, why I do the podcast is because it gives me an opportunity to share this with thousands of people, right?
It's amazing. Yeah.
But that's still, like, and it has its place, but I still feel like there's a real power to, delivering instruction in person. And I think that ability to sort of, when I was coaching at Charlene and like, it was funny actually, even sometimes I jump on the train, and I've had like people come up to me and go, "Oh, Johnny, do you remember me?" And then like, I'm looking at them and then I'm like, "You look quite familiar." But like, obviously they've grown, right? Like I was dealing with them when they were maybe like, 10 to 15.
And you come across so many people, right?
Yeah. And then they're like, "Oh, I remember you used to teach me." And I was like, "Oh, wow." And
you've impacted people. Like,
well, I don't know where I impacted them, but
they remember you have, right?
Yeah.
So you don't like, it might have been just one interaction. It's really important.
Yeah. Well, I think, when it comes to teaching, it's one of those things where it's like, I think, and I use the same analogy for like almost any business interaction, right? Because like as an example, car selling, when you're selling cars, like you might deal with 10 customers in a day, but for that customer, you might be the first salesperson that they dealt with.
Yeah.
Right. So likewise, a kid that's going through all of their classes, so they might have, if they're in high school and they've got different teachers for every subject, well, they might see 4 or 5 teachers in that day. But like the ones that they're going to connect to is the one that, treats every class like it's their first.
Yeah, that's why EQ is very important. Understanding the emotions and what, being aware of what they came from. You're right. You have to talk to people differently depending on what, stage they're at first, like the first salesman or the fifth salesman.
Yeah.
You'll see where all the emotions come from.
Yeah.
Frustrations.
You would have got this, from obviously when you teach kids as well. It's like you teach for the class, but you coach for the individual.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're doing a lot.
Yeah. Definitely. So you basically, if there's a syllabus or you've got a certain technique you want to show, you show that technique for the class, but then you got to look at where the individual's level is at and meet them on their level,
Yeah, I think that's what helped me build my emotional intelligence for sure. Interact. You become a parent early,
Yeah.
right? Yeah,
Yeah.
because you have to. You want to help them. You want to give to them. It's not about yourself. Yeah.
It's kind of it's easier than being a parent because your kids like you try and do that with them, but they still don't want to listen.
and they go home.
Yeah.
You don't see them all day.
yeah. Like they sometimes like it's like a Jekyll and Hyde. Like they have two personalities. You got a personality of what you get or what the teachers see in school, and they could be like the best child in school.
Yeah.
And they come home and it's like you're like the devil almost.
I
Like
I feel sorry for my parents, to be honest. Like having to deal with me even, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So what did you do after the parkour thing? So that was like obviously a good chunk of your life, right? Like how many years were you with Nine Lives?
4 years, I think.
4 years.
Yeah, 4 years. That was it was heading up. It was actually doing really well. Like it was on the way up, and when I met Wendy is when I did another leap of faith again.
Yeah.
It's like leaving uni the last semester. It was like that. I left Nine Lives, and I pursued something with Wendy.
Okay.
It was so. Again, I think there is a fate. Like actually, like I fully believe in fate.
Yeah,
for sure.
So what
13 years with Wendy.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So what was it? What was the venture that you guys got yourselves into?
No, we didn't think of anything. We were just hanging out.
Oh really?
We didn't even think of a relationship, to be honest. We
Wait.
were just talking for 6 months straight about life.
But then, so what did you leave Nine Lives for then? Like
Nothing. I had no plan because I was actually I found the gym, but that was just like I went every day. It's just something I like doing.
Yeah.
I didn't think of making money from it or anything. Because I had Wendy as well, and like I think at the time she was just working. She was like she was very young. I think she just finished uni, and she was working casually at Cotton On.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's funny, Cotton On. It's in fashion business clothing.
Yeah.
And and she eventually made a clothing business.
Yeah, that's right.
See, there's some synchronicity.
Yeah.
With the bodybuilding stuff that I went into, that was I think I started when I was 24. I started gymming at 24. That's quite late. I went for about. It's been I still go to gym now.
Yeah.
I didn't think of making money from it at all. I think people were thinking I was a bit crazy spending 7 days there, 4 or 5 hours. Like I was so grateful that I could just live at home with my parents.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, you have to be grateful for that. Like we're lucky. That's why we could pursue things like that. I wouldn't be able to go to the gym if I had to work and stuff.
100%.
I remember a guy at the gym. He like all these people wanted to train with me for some reason. I guess like I was just pushing crazy weights in such a short time. But he asked, "Isn't there something you want to do with your life? Like like a career or how are you gonna make money and stuff?" Okay, I don't know. I just want to train right now. I don't care.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I said it'll come. If I need it, then it will come.
Yeah.
And it did.
Wow.
I formed a business around, bodybuilding, I guess, like clothing.
Personal training or clothing?
Clothing.
Yeah.
I didn't want to get into personal training.
Okay.
Because then that would take, I think...
Time away from your own training?
Yeah. No, maybe. I don't know. It'd be, you're training with me, you're paying to train with me.
Yeah.
Is that a business model?
It could be, but I think if people want some actual instruction.
OnlyFans.
Yeah. Yeah. So, okay. So then... So you go through this period of like you're basically just gymming all the time. So then what was the next sort of venture or what was the next occupation that you went into? Did you go straight into the
clothing?
Clothing.
Yeah. So Wendy and I think we were selling on eBay first, and then it was like, eBay's taking too much fees.
Yeah.
And it's like, you know what? Let's make our own websites and brands.
Yeah.
And then we got into custom printing t-shirts first.
Yep.
And there's a lot of headaches around emailing back and forth about the custom designs. So we eventually made our own brand and started building from there, and it was doing well. There's always up and downs with business.
Of course.
We had to help each other throughout, and we did. We brought each other out of it,
Yeah.
Because sometimes her range, the female fashion, would do really well, and then my range just kind of died down, and it was the other way around. My one went up, and hers one was going down a little bit. And we just balanced each other out, and we helped each other through the emotions of business. And that's why I have such a deep connection with Wendy.
So when you guys start, doing the fashion business, and then you basically, what did you start? We started with doing like your own prints? Like, did you buy your own printer, or were you getting them printed?
Yeah. You start with your heat press and then
Yeah.
vinyl. I mean, I'm still doing that. I still peel. I enjoy it.
Yeah.
It's like a
It's
little.
cathartic. It's one of those ones where it's just like
I should be streaming it.
it's tangible, right? Like I do it as well. So like the shirt, obviously we did.
Oh, it's like yeah.
Yeah. So it's one of those ones where you know,
Therapeutic.
yeah, like there's a process to it, and it's tangible, and then when you line it up and it looks good.
When your creations become reality, it's
Yeah.
it's a fun thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then what was after you moved on? Well, you still do the films today, but like what was the next product that you sort of added to the stable? So
As in like a business or something. Like
yeah, for like the clothing. So you obviously start with doing like designs and then shirt prints and stuff like that.
Yeah. So she moved into wholesale and stuff like so we tried to vertical integrate.
Yep.
You know. What else? I should be pushing it more, but I don't. And I think it's because I don't know. I'm happy with where I'm at with it.
Mm.
You know, you can pursue to the nth degree anything, right? Maybe it's just not for me. I still enjoy enjoy life. Otherwise, I could spend all my time doing that stuff, and it'll take away from you, your soul.
Yeah.
So I like to balance work and play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So okay, and like that's basically been majority of what's sustained you through to today, then, hasn't it?
Well, kind of. That's where the crypto journey had to come in.
Yeah.
I'll tell
Okay.
you, I always get saved somehow.
Okay.
There's some kind of I'm protected like by something.
Okay. So we got to
It's
talk about this
always-
crypto journey. So
Always at the last.
at the last moment. So what happened with this? How did you get into crypto?
Crypto. Okay. Again, universal synchronicity. Because I think I've had 4 iterations of crypto where I did it, stopped for a bit, did it, stopped for a bit. Every time I was making a lot of money and I lost a lot of money.
Mm.
And it kept on getting more and more. So
Yeah.
at first I was like, I think my first time getting into it, my first trade got me into it. So I think I put like a $4,000 trade on Bitcoin, and it was a very volatile period based on news. I think it was back in 2016 or 17,
Mm.
right? That was when Bitcoin was $1,900.
Mm.
And I put a trade on, took it off in 10 seconds, and I made like $7,000. I'm like, what? I just made $7,000 in 10 seconds? Okay, what the heck am I doing with my life?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
What am I selling clothing for? That takes me forever to make. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to figure this out. So I went down that rabbit hole, right? It's a huge roller coaster ride. I don't recommend it for anyone that can't handle emotions. I had to deal with a lot. And I think Wendy had to deal with a lot of my emotions from it too.
Mm.
Like you're talking, I have a lot of stories with my brothers. We went into crypto together. I brought them in as well. We have a group chat called Lambros. I have very fond memories of that. So we have dinner table stories, 6-digit, 7-digit losses
Oh wow.
and gains, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes overnight. Can you imagine dealing with salaries
Yeah.
in a trade?
Yeah.
Very high dopamine. That's why the ADHD thing was. I figured it out after that.
Yeah.
I had ADHD. I got diagnosed I think like last year. So
Yeah. Wow. So talk to me about this roller coaster of emotions, right? Like,
yeah,
you know, obviously
exactly like how the charts work.
green,
Economics.
green, red. Oh, red.
Yeah. Man. I mean, I can't count on my hands how many times you think about suicide.
Yeah,
When you
really.
get in the losses.
Yeah.
And it kept on getting worse because like I'd make 30,000 in one day. That was the first time I went to crypto, and then I'd lose it as well.
Mm.
I can lose that overnight because I went heavier and heavier because I needed more,
Mm.
and I it was an addiction. So I didn't even care about the money anymore because that could change lives.
Yeah.
And then the next iteration was 6 digits. I was dealing with hundreds Ks,
Mm.
and then 250,000, and then I think there was one point we made like a 1.4 million profits.
Yeah.
And that wasn't enough. It was never enough. I was like, I'm aiming for 20 million now. If I can get 1.4 million in such a short time,
Yeah.
let's go for 20 million. And then when you go in more, what happens?
That's when you lose it.
That's when the rug is pulled,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because it's a zero-sum game.
Yeah.
And we all know that. That's economic cycles, and I should have known that.
Yeah.
There is some regrets because I could have like bought multiple houses, cars outright.
Yeah.
But you know what? I have no regrets anymore.
Mm.
Those emotions are what makes me appreciate life.
Mm.
you have to navigate through them and learn to appreciate those moments.
Do you, out of curiosity, do your brothers feel the same way about this?
Probably not.
They're burning.
But I think they still have, they're fond about that memory of working together. I think it's family working together. It's such an amazing thing, man.
It's powerful.
You want that for your children.
Yeah.
And I think my dad would be proud of that when,
Yeah.
Like even with the crypto period, because my dad loves, playing a bit of slots and stuff, I supported that. I hope he doesn't watch this, all my family. But yeah, I supported that because I saw enjoyment. He enjoyed it. So I was like, I was giving him money to play slots.
Yeah.
It made me happy. Yeah. And that was like connection with him. But then you realize it's not money that builds the connections actually. Yeah, you can have experiences together, but even when you don't have money, the connections are still there.
Yeah.
You have more probably. It's less distractions, The money buys all these distractions. And then you need more and more distractions.
Yeah, it's consumerism. Like that's the way society's geared though. You want to, if it keeps you following the pathway of wanting to buy the next bigger and better thing, then you stay a productive member of society.
Yeah,
right?
That's right, yeah.
You're paying your taxes. Well, maybe not in crypto, but
no, yeah, I paid a lot of taxes.
But yeah, typically it's like, the way society's geared is that, for you to say a productive member of society, you need to be working. And what better way of fulfilling the cycle than using the money that you made from work to buy something else, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
just to enjoy life.
Yeah.
Just don't attach to it, right? Because you can lose it, and I did lose it all.
So when you get to that point, like when did you say enough was enough? Like, okay, I've lost it.
Because I think it would have ruined our relationship, me and Wendy.
Okay.
So even when I was making money, I think I was getting a bit obnoxious.
Really?
Yeah, because I was like, why are we even running business anymore?
Yeah.
It's like, I can just make this money overnight, like click my fingers.
Yeah.
Then I was getting too cocky, and I didn't like that.
Yeah.
I'm glad I didn't make that money now. And that's when I come back and reflect and realize it would have ruined my connections with all my family, and I would have ran off somewhere. I would have, there are probably people that are going through that. They're running away from connection and thinking they'll get connection elsewhere with their money. Maybe not real ones,
Yeah.
But then something will make them come back,
Yeah.
Go back into their soul.
Yeah.
What is really that they want?
Did Wendy help sort of pull you back to that as well? Like
100%. Wendy was a saint. Like, she was always there for me through my darkest times.
Yeah.
And I was there for her darkest times as well. But you're talking like 7 times she pulled me out.
Yeah.
It was almost getting to a point where she was getting annoyed, right?
Yeah.
It's like, why don't you just withdraw the money? 7 times.
7 times.
And I didn't do it because it's like never enough. I'll tell you, it was never enough.
We always like, after this next one. Is that what the mentality was like? It's like, I'll,
exactly that.
Just let me do one more.
Right.
More. Like that kind of mentality.
But I tell you that, I got humbled like 5 times. Yeah. Definitely humbled. It brought me back down.
Yeah.
When you have to face yourself, strip away everything again. This is why I told you I was trained to go through this stuff, this trauma, and the crypto part helped me.
Yeah.
If I didn't go through that, I wouldn't be able to manage my emotions.
Yeah, I think there's some valuable lessons that people learn when they try and trade and things like that, because it is a zero-sum game. Like, for every winner there's a loser.
Yeah.
Right? And at the end of the day, you're playing this game where you're trying to win more than lose, and sometimes it doesn't work that way, first of all. And then you make poorer decisions because your frame of mind is obviously deteriorating as you make poorer and poorer decisions. It's like a negative spiral, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Don't trade with emotions.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was pretty bad. I was even trading while I was drunk.
What?
On my phone. It was just like there was this trading platform where you could just like literally tap and you'd get into a trade, in and out of a trade.
Yeah.
It was a game. It's like how people play games, just tapping, right?
Yeah.
I got addicted to that. And if you could make like $2,000 just like tapping twice, then it's crazy. I don't recommend it to anyone.
Yeah.
That will make your brain so like it will need more and more every time, and that's where depression can happen.
Yeah. Did you ever get depressed in those times?
Oh, many times, of course. Yes, it was a roller coaster. There was no middle ground. It was just very extreme. And Wendy had to deal with a lot of that too. I feel sorry for her. I mean, there was a lot of good times too. So
Yeah, it's a tough one. Like the good times are great, but like it's the highest of highs, the lowest of lows, right?
Yeah. You're like living at that frequency.
Yeah.
Whereas, I mean, sometimes you want to be peaceful,
Yeah.
you know? But to me, that's flatlining. Like you don't really live life like that.
Yeah.
I'm all about creating experiences.
Yeah.
And that's part of my ADHD, and I embrace it now.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, so then after you get out of trading, like, you guys just bunkered back into business, or what?
Yeah, I got humbled, so I had to go back to business. Right? I was like, okay.
Yeah, at this point, what do we need to sell clothes for? And then it's like, okay, yeah, sell
It
clothes.
did help us a bit. Like, so we got a car at least from it, and you know, helped us get this house. So
Yeah.
a deposit, but still paying mortgage.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. But you know, that's the game. We're still playing the game.
Mm.
Imagine if the house was fully paid off. There'll be never enough. You're buying another one.
Yeah.
Then you'll go for another one, and then you'll get yourself into more debt anyways.
Yeah.
And this happens with a lot of people I know, a lot of millionaires. You know, they, what do you call it? They overextend, and then they get themselves into debt. And then when the cash flow doesn't come in, you try to take from other people just to
keep yourself going.
To then pay people right.
Mm. Right. Yeah.
We don't need anything. We don't need much.
So with Wendy's stuff, because she was making dresses and all this sort of stuff, right? Like,
yeah.
How did that start?
It was eBay. When we sold it on eBay, it was successful. She bought a dress for herself, but she couldn't fit it.
Yeah.
So she's like, I had to get rid of it.
So she sold it.
And she made like a triple the amount from it.
What?
It's like a 3x, 4x in profit, and I was like, oh. And then she's like, okay, I'm gonna do it again. And then she started doing it on eBay, and then we were selling custom clothes on eBay as well.
Okay.
So then there was and then that was like, okay, this could work.
Mm.
You know, we don't have to get a job or something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So it's such a small thing, right? Like, you know, a lot of people don't necessarily think about it, but like, yeah, starting a business.
I think everyone kind of starts from there.
Yeah.
When something goes successful, right? You kind of follow that.
Yeah.
And then you're like, okay, I'm being led down this path. It's working.
Yep. Let's do it again.
Yeah. But imagine it didn't work the first time. You'd be like, but there's some people that push through that.
Mm.
And then that's when you get even more, you know, it's only up from there.
Yeah.
If you failed the first time.
Yeah.
That means you're really passionate about it. Right?
Yeah. Yeah. You got to have the drive to go through and be resilient through some of the setbacks as well.
Yeah.
You know, just because an idea fails doesn't mean that necessarily the idea was bad. It could be the execution that was poor.
Yeah.
Right. And I think a lot of time, you know, people conflate the two. You know, or you could have a shit idea but execute it greatly. But then like where you find the cap then is basically in the scalability of that business.
Mm.
Yeah. So like a poor idea executed greatly can yield a good return, but then over time, because it's a poor idea, like it just doesn't have the legs to continue to grow beyond a certain level.
Yeah, it depends on what the person wants, the owner.
Mm.
It's up to you how far you want to take it.
Yeah.
What do you want from it? Do you want, you know, multi-millions, billions?
Mm.
You know, is it for that, or is it for a greater purpose?
Yeah.
Then it's not about the money. It doesn't matter if you're making nothing.
Yeah.
Right.
So, let's sort of delve into, I guess, you know, what's happened over this last year, I should say. You know, so you know, you and Wendy had been together for quite a long time, right?
13 years, yeah.
13 years.
Yeah.
And and you can, you know, probably best that you tell the story, but from what I heard, like she had an aneurysm or something, and she fell over, or she fell over, hit her head.
It was they don't know. So while she was talking to someone, it was like there were four of us.
Mm.
We were next to our car. We were about to get in our car actually, and as we were talking about something, the guy yelled at Wendy. I looked over, and she was already stumbled back, and she was like a stiff board that fell back onto concrete, and she hit the back of her skull and fractured it.
Wow.
And they weren't going to operate because it looked bad already.
Yeah.
But they tried, and she was gone.
Wow.
After the operation. Prior to it, it was like she was sleepy. You know, she had a little headache, and then as they drove her to the hospital, she could still say her name like very softly.
Mm.
You know, I thought it'd be okay. Like the worst thing I thought was that she was just really gonna become a vegetable, and I'll just take care of her for the rest of her life. I think like that was the worst case scenario in my mind. You know, I knew that could have been a thing because I heard the hit on the concrete.
It was that loud.
Yeah, that loud. It's on the back as well. That point.
Wow.
And it could have been on the grass just a little bit over.
Yeah.
Could have been in our car. But I always wonder what happened to her to make her fall back. There was no real health issues before that. She was playing sports. She was a healthy individual.
Mm.
was only one health scare we had 1 year prior to that. It was a allergic reaction to some medication. She had some skin rashes, and we thought it was from stress. That's all. Yeah, emotional stress.
Was she dealing with a lot at that point? Like, what was she dealing with?
Yeah, we have a lot of friends, and she was dealing with a lot of emotions around that, and also with business as well. Mortgage. We both had more. We were getting second jobs. You know, she just got a job before she died.
Wow.
She was 2 weeks into that role. She it was a work from home one too.
Yeah.
And I also was getting that parkour job as well. I was applying for gym jobs and stuff.
Yeah.
Just as a side hustle on top of our businesses, because if you have a mortgage and you're trying to buy stock as well, inventory, it takes away from that.
Yeah, of course.
And if you have like a $5,000 mortgage, that's a lot of sales, like a lot of stock that you can buy too.
Yeah, it's true. And then you're paying the interest on that as well, right? So
mostly interest.
Yeah. So, you know, she gets taken to the hospital, and then was she still like responsive, or when did she stop? Sort of, or like
she was still responsive. It was when they were wheeling her to the operation, she was still scratching her nose, like she was sleeping. I said, Wendy, like, you know, you'll be alright. I was just reaffirming it to her and stuff. Yeah, from then on, I just never heard her again. She was gone. She was on life support, but it was just to pretend that her heart was pumping and stuff.
Yeah, wow.
And she was breathing.
And then, at what point then, like, do you have to decide that, hey, you know, we got to turn off the life support? Did the doctors ask you or something like that?
The doctors, they do a test. They do 2 tests to declare that she's dead completely. It's like there's some breathing meter. I don't know what it is, oxygen meter or something. And they actually had to do 3 tests on Wendy, because in the second test, the last test, she exhibited some form that she was breathing on her own a little bit. So they couldn't declare it dead. So they had to wait another 4 hours to retest. But they gave us a lot of time, people to see her as well. There was over like 200 people came in to see her. And it was only for 3 or 4 days.
Wow.
It happened so quick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, for you, like, obviously that time, like, what were your emotions like?
I was traumatized from, like, I knew after the operation that she was already gone.
Oh, you already knew?
When they take you into that room,
yeah,
and they tell the family, that was the worst part for me.
Yeah.
Even the call after the operation, I just knew from his voice that I knew it was over.
Yeah.
I think that was, you really have to accept it quick, or, you know, I could easily wanted to die with her as well.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tearing up just being back there.
Yeah.
But, you know, it's like emotions, I don't shy away from it. I'm happy to feel, because you have to feel those negative ones when you're in love as well, especially when you're in love. So in that period, the ICU period, I think all I cared about was everyone's well-being. Like, I didn't care about my emotions, and I already died. To be honest, I died with her at that operating table. So now it's just me guiding everyone else through their emotions and helping them. I wasn't me anymore. Yeah. Of course, it comes back now and then.
Yeah.
But I had a lot of help as well. So the 3 of us, me, Phil, my friend Phil, and my sister June, we stayed overnight for 3 days. I didn't shower. I came from sports as well. I didn't shower for 3 days.
Yeah.
I didn't care about my comfort anyway. That ICU period, it was amazing because the nurses didn't stop us from visiting. Normally you can only have 2 visitors at a time.
Yeah.
I think they allowed like 12 in a room at a time, and there were like so many people in the waiting rooms. It was a weird period, I tell you that. This is where we start talking about the supernatural stuff. It started from there.
Yeah.
So I guess we should dive right in.
Let's go.
The first supernatural experience we had, I think my phone, Phil's phone started glitching right during the ICU when it was at night time. Like, everyone left already. It was just me, him, and my sister. His phone started glitching, like it was tapping, doing random taps, and it never does that ever. And we straight away were like, okay, there's some
Sweet.
kind of Morse code in here or something.
Mm.
So we started saying, okay, 1 tap is yes, 2 taps no, 3 taps I don't know. We said that to whatever was doing it.
Mm.
And it's like, who is this and stuff? Is this Wendy? And it's like, no. And it's like, is this, is Wendy safe? We just wanted to make sure she was okay. And it was like, he said no as well.
Okay.
2 taps. Like she's uneasy or something. And like, are you helping it? And it's like, yes. So, we don't know. There could be spirits walking around the hospital. So many people die there.
Mm.
And we just took it as a sign. But then, right after that, I started scrolling through messages on my phone. Our old messages, the 40,000 I was talking to you about on Facebook. We gotta love technology. It can log all these things, right?
40,000 messages is a long chat history.
Yeah. I just started scrolling, and then out of nowhere, I just stopped on this chunk of writing. It was me and Wendy discussing about her dreams she had in that time. She had multiple dreams, and it said she was in a coma, and she was surrounded by friends. She had this when she was 17 years old, 18 years old.
Mm.
Many of those coma dreams. And she said she's ready to die in the message exchanges. Like, she's ready. Like, no matter what happens in life.
Yeah.
And that I had to read all these messages to everyone when they came in as groups. And to bring them peace, I knew I had to read it to them.
Yeah.
To help them understand this. And it did help them, I think.
Mm.
I don't know why I had to read it to them. It's so crazy. It sounds like I was giving a seminar in the ICU.
Yeah.
I was possessed by something else.
It was also pretty crazy that, that had been in your chat history, right? Like all these years, right?
Yeah, especially scrolling to that
Mm.
and just knowing what to do with it as well.
Mm.
And that's what it's like. And maybe that's why you're here right now as well. That's why I believe in the universal synchronicities.
Mm.
Yeah.
So then, so the 3 days you just basically stayed at the hospital?
There was a lot that happened. Like,
Yeah.
That's just like
A little bit?
2%.
Yeah. Let's go. We got time.
A good mate, Kwa, came back in my life.
Yeah. Is that photographer Kwa?
Yeah,
Yeah.
So he's like I call him the angel of death. He guides people through death, I feel.
Okay.
He was so on it with everything, with the funeral services, just emotions, managing things. I could like really just feel my emotions while he was like him and Phil were organizing things and helping, usher people through and stuff. So I'm really grateful for those two especially, but everyone as well.
Mm.
So the reason why I'm talking about Kwa is because I had a ICU engagement and wedding, and now I'll explain why I did this. It sounds crazy, but I don't care. At that point, I didn't care what people thought of me. It was more to honor Wendy, finally marry her after 13 years, even though I could have done it during the crypto days, everything. We felt married from day one, that's why.
Yeah.
We just didn't understand why we needed to spend 100K on a wedding when we had to pay a mortgage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
it's like, you know what, pay our mortgage first, we'll work on that later.
Mm.
It was for, a wedding would be for other people, if anything. We will create experience for them.
Yeah.
Because we had our love every day anyway.
Yeah.
So to honor her, I just needed to propose to her and marry her in the ICU, even though she was not there. I don't know if she was there. So my brother helped me buy the ring. I just buy whatever ring. Like, she wouldn't care. She told me, like, I'll just spend the rest of my money.
Yeah.
And he did that. We got the ring. I asked for the parents' approval, and they allowed me. It was, I'm grateful for that, because they could have just said, no, this is crazy.
Yeah.
But I think they knew in my heart that's what I wanted.
Yeah.
It was for Wendy as well.
Yeah.
But during that wedding ceremony, I was not crying. I was happy.
Yeah.
Because it was something, that was been a long time waiting. Everyone was telling us to get married
for all these years.
We felt married already.
Yeah.
I think they didn't get that. I think I think people would agree. At most weddings, you probably don't have time to love each other on that day.
Yeah, it's just full on.
Yeah,
Right. And you get to the end of you get to the end
it's
of it.
over like that.
Yeah. And
You're
it's like,
tired.
we're married now. It's like, oh, yeah.
Even I know. I haven't had a wedding.
We have.
Oh, okay. Not the same as everyone else. But,
Yeah.
so there was multiple reasons why I chose to have that ICU wedding, because it is crazy, to be honest. So the day that she died, we had a group dinner with the sport club. There were a lot of people, like 15 to 20 of us, at Okami in Silverwater. That's that Japanese buffet.
Yeah.
So she got to eat one of her favorite foods, her last meal. I'm so happy for that.
Yeah.
It was a very different day. I have to tell you, it was a very interesting day from the morning, because through all our stress in life, I woke up, and she usually goes on social media on her phone early in the morning. She wakes up a little bit earlier than me. And then I wake up, and then I'm just hugging her like 30 times in bed. Like, I don't normally hug her that much. I give her a space as well. Even after 13 years, I still feel like hugging her 30 times in the morning.
Yeah.
It's like I knew she was going to go that day. She didn't hug me back, because obviously she's enjoying it, and also just on her phone doing social media. And then I go downstairs to make her a coffee. And then that's when she just came behind me and hugged me from behind. And then that was the most beautiful moment. Regardless of all the stress that we went through, everything went away.
Yeah.
It's just right over there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still remember it. Yeah, I'm just reliving that moment. Sorry.
That's all right. Take your time.
So from that day, we met up with we went to actually play badminton for the first time with the friends. She didn't go to play. She was tired, but she just wanted to be around people. She was always like that. She just wanted to be around people. She filmed everyone always. So I have so much footage of everything. That day especially, we have so much footage from it. And we went to dinner. She was normal. There was nothing wrong with her. She was talking to everyone. And some questions came up around the dinner table. We love to talk about trauma a lot with our group, okay? So we go deep very quickly, me and Wendy. Yeah. People that know us, like, we'll get it out. Whatever it is, we'll get everything out there. If you were molested, if you were if you're abused by your parents or whatever.
That's going really deep, really quick.
And yeah, we have that. We have that ability. We have this understanding and acceptance of people. We don't judge you for what you come from. We judge you how you treat us right now. The question was, when's the last time you all cried? And what movies make you cry? What songs make you cry? And everyone was sharing what impacted them in life. It got around to me, and I didn't even think of this, but it brought back a song that I think I mentioned to you, Forever and Always by Parachute. That was the one song that made me cry so much. Like, this was 10 years back. And then that night it got brought back, right? From that question. And if people that don't know it, if you listen to the lyrics, it's an ICU wedding, because I think the guy gets into a car accident, right? And so they just grab a ring from a couple next door, and then they do a fake proposal and marriage at the hospital before it's too late. Not only that, Kwa mentioned he could, connected guy. He mentioned that he could get a celebrant from the Married at First Sight celebrant, Trung. Trung, he happened to be free that day, and he took his time. He was waiting around for a long time just to do that for us.
Wow.
I'm so grateful for that, man. And I had to do it because Wendy loves Married at First Sight. She used to watch it.
Yeah.
I was like, I wouldn't have done it otherwise, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
That was like Wendy telling me,
you better
do it. You better do it. Right?
Yeah.
So I took it as a sign. I'm like, do it. Okay. I think everyone was working together. My family, they went home to find a wedding dress or whatever.
Yeah.
The one just over there. It's actually my sister's one, but she never wore it. She bought it but never wore it. So it's a new dress still. And So Wendy, it's her dress,
Yeah.
right? So my Wendy used to choose dresses for my sister, and then she knew, like, my sister knew that she had to choose this dress for Wendy,
Mm.
and so she found this at our family home. So it was closer. Not we didn't have to drive back to Leppington. I don't even have it. We're gonna grab one of her Stunner boutique dresses, but this is a proper wedding dress, though.
Yeah.
Everything worked out. It was so strange. I borrowed my brother's suit. I changed in the toilet there.
Did you shower?
No, it didn't even matter. It didn't matter. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry for the people that had to hug me and stuff.
Yeah.
But, I'll never forget that for sure. And I think I got my friend to film some of it just for myself. Like, it's not something I'm gonna post.
Of course.
I tried to film myself changing in the toilet as well, but for some reason that footage didn't get saved. It must have been Wendy. Like, don't do this. There's a toilet in the background.
And you stink.
Yeah, you have to do the scene where your brother's helping you.
Yeah.
We did that in the toilet of that ICU room.
Yeah.
I still wish I had the footage.
Yeah.
Maybe AI can generate it. From then on, that was a very peaceful moment in ICU for me, but maybe not for a lot of people. I didn't cry. I was just smiling at Wendy.
Yeah.
Very early during the ICU as well, I talked to Wendy a lot, just near her head, because I believe that you can still hear many hours after you die. So I was just telling her, like, Wendy, like, well, what life do you want next? You know, how do you want to? Do you want to be the guy next time? Like, I believe that we're fated together, and we're always fated together, even in the afterlife and future lives, past lives. It was always me and Wendy from day one, and that's why I was like, you know, what do you want to experience next? You know, like, you can start creating your life now, because I knew she was gone. I think everyone else thought they were holding on to the hope that she'd come back from the coma, but it was life support, like, completely. So I knew she was gone. She was missing half her brain. And I had to tell the nurses to cover it up, because it's going to get graphical, but her brain was leaking. And
the fluid?
The pieces of the brain.
Oh, wow.
Because they didn't even put her head back on.
Oh.
It was already gone, you know?
Yeah.
They just bandaged it.
Yeah.
And I just, can you please tuck it in before the visitors come?
Yeah.
So I was hugging everyone that came through. They were all crying. They were all saying, you know, she's going to make it out. You know, she's going to make it out. And I was like, no, she's not.
Yeah.
I started doing that first, and I'm like, that was wrong of me. Rather, people hold on to the hope. There could be a miracle. And I researched, there are people that have survived with half a brain left. And they have a normal family. They're talking. They have a job. We don't know we don't understand our bodies completely. But knowing Wendy, like, if she had a choice to go, she'd go. We've always discussed death a lot together. Like, we've experienced enough in this life. It doesn't matter if we make it or not in our businesses. We're happy to go anytime. We're ready to die together. But we didn't die together, unfortunately.
You know, obviously, when you've gone through something like that, like the thoughts of dying together would have crossed your mind, right?
Yeah, you can never plan it, though. Eh? Like, I mean, you can, but that's wrong. I don't recommend that to anyone. You know, don't do that. I don't condone that at all.
Yeah,
let it happen naturally. You know, death is it's a topic that I've always been thinking about for the last forever, actually.
Yeah.
You know, what's the reason? Why are we here? Where do we go next? I'm sure you think about that stuff too.
Yeah, well, like, it's a part of, like, does life have meaning if there's nothing after it?
Yeah, that's just right. Yeah. That's why I'd love to delve into that part.
Yeah.
Soon, actually. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get there.
Yeah.
But yeah, like, before we were born, I always say this. You know, before we were born, there was nothingness, and after we die, well, we can go back to nothingness. But then, what do we do when we're here? You know, like, we know that there's not nothingness because we're experiencing this moment. You know, you're sitting here, I'm sitting here.
Yeah.
If there's, you know, one objective truth, at least you can provide is that, you know, well, I know as a construct I exist, and I can infer that you exist in the same way that I exist. Like we have a consciousness, we have thought, we have feeling, we have emotion, we have all of these
Our
things
brain is powerful, isn't it?
Yeah.
We're creating each other constantly.
Mm.
And like if you weren't here and like I didn't see you, I did not know what you're doing. I probably didn't even care.
Yeah.
But because you reached out, like now Johnny, you exist, and you've always exist.
Yeah.
Like if you have a life, you're doing stuff while I was with Wendy all that time.
Yeah.
And you know, it's memories are very important, and I understand now. Wendy used to film everything, record everything. It brings you back. A thought brings you back to the past, and that's how you time travel. Really, you're always time traveling.
Mm. But you also got to choose. You know, where do you live your life too, right?
Yeah, you want to be present.
Yeah.
You want to think about the future. Or you want to live in your traumas, your past.
Yeah.
You know.
When you were going through this, like, and I often ask this question when people go through hard times, because I feel like there's two ways that you go about it. You can get very angry about it, like why me, why this, all those sorts of, you know.
You feel everything. I tell you that.
Yeah.
Every single emotion, multiple times. Suicide came into my mind probably 50 times, man. Every night. Right? For the first chunk, like 6 months. It was only recently I got myself out and navigated out. Right? I'm like, you realize, like, okay, you survived 2 months without doing it. You can go longer. You have a little bit of hope. You hang on to the hope. And friends, so important. They saved me. They were always reaching out. One message, coming over, asking something, you know, it just I felt that they cared, and that's why I was like, okay, I could hold on a little bit longer. It's so easy to want to just go with Wendy. I'll tell you that.
Yeah. How did, you know, I'm just sort of thinking about her parents, you know, throughout that whole thing. It's quite traumatic for them too, right? To lose a daughter. Like, it's not the natural order of things. Usually it should be a child grieving your parent leaving the world, right?
I would not know from that perspective, but I can definitely feel that. I can't compare it to what I'm feeling. It's different. You just can't say one's harder, or you know.
Yeah.
Like a dad losing their daughter. I don't know. As long as I just make sure that everyone has support, you know. It's a good thing that they have each other to her mum and dad, you know. At least they can help each other.
Yeah.
And friends and family. So yeah.
Are you still close to them now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a shared trauma now, you know.
Yeah.
We all loved Wendy. Still love her. And we had to remind each other to live, you know, beautifully for her. Because that's how she lived. She was always happy. She whatever she wanted, she would pursue. You know. So, in a way, Wendy lived the life that she wanted every day.
Yeah.
She didn't care if people criticized her for drinking a Coke every day. You know.
Yeah.
She just did it anyway because she loved it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I want to just touch on that point that you said, that, you know, pulling yourself out of this state where it's like, you know, yeah, you've gone 2 months now without ending your life, so it's like you can survive, you can get through this.
Yeah.
What are some of the things that do you think, like, you know, you've mentioned obviously friends and things like that, but were there any other things that you were doing, whether it was journaling or writing things down, or?
I think hanging on to the hope of something, no matter what it is, like, and this is where we get to the supernatural part. I experienced a lot of things where Wendy proved that there was an afterlife, proved to me, maybe some other people too around, but I held on to that hope. Every dream I had of Wendy kept me going. You know, so tech glitches have been happening around the house. Every one kept me going. Every story that someone came to me and said, I had a dream of Wendy, that kept me going. And so that's why I'm always protected that way. Especially in the last moments when I'm so close.
Yeah.
Something comes to save me, you know? Yeah.
And I guess for you, like personally, do you feel like, or do you wonder, is there some greater purpose to all this?
Yeah, that question. I'm always wondering why, right? Why me?
Yeah.
But then I stopped thinking about myself. It's like, oh, my loss. I always actually, before Wendy died, I told her this. Like when someone dies, you don't think about if you want to get over something. I was able to teach it back then. You don't think about you losing it. They're the one that died.
Yeah.
They lost life experience. They can't experience their five senses anymore. So don't think about you lost someone. Change your perspective. You can still breathe. You can still experience things. So don't ever try to think about suicide and things like that. That's definitely what helped me. The gratitude for life, because you live for that person instead. Yeah, that's one of the ways.
Yeah, that's a powerful one, because I think suicide is one of those ones where it's like it's always a last resort. You feel like you have no other option.
That's right. I feel very sorry. I feel them.
Yeah.
To get to that point, it must have been really hard. That's why I feel for them, and I think if I can reach them somehow, just to get them out, then I find purpose in that.
Yeah.
I think that's what would keep me going.
Yeah.
Because I'd want that for myself too. Yeah.
So, you've come through this process now, and it's been 7-8 months since it all happened. Like, what are you looking forward to, I guess, from here? And the reason why I ask that is because I know that you spend a lot of time thinking about yourself and future, and processing obviously a whole bunch of emotions and thoughts around all of this sort of stuff. And then it's like you obviously have to reconcile all that for yourself in some format, right?
That's right. I'm only with my this is where it gets interesting.
Yeah.
So my thoughts, right? There's my thoughts.
Yeah.
But lately I have another voice, and it's Wendy's voice in my head. Because we've been together 13 years. I know exactly how she thinks and feels. We eat everything together. We share meals. We're everywhere together. In the car, in the toilet, in the shower, everything we do together. So when you with that person for that long, you become that person.
Yeah.
And this is when I realized Wendy's voice is, I have answers for everything. If I have a question about something, it answers in Wendy's voice. I know exactly what she would do here and think. So even when I'm negative, she tells me, not that again. Why are you thinking like that again? We're over this.
Yeah.
My whole purpose was to teach people gratitude.
Yeah.
And then that voice comes in, and I'm like, oh yeah, I remember. Sorry, So people that don't know Wendy, Wendy was all about gratitude, and she wanted to teach people that life is beautiful. That's on her headstone. She's always done that from a very young age, because I think that she had been in a very dark place at a young age. She learned how to navigate out of that, and see beauty in life, and that's why she was able to teach others that. Yeah,
she was always, obviously I saw her, once or twice a week at training and things like
She's
that.
very bright, right?
Yeah,
always
very happy.
Her.
Yeah, always very happy.
Yeah,
But I as a coach, I didn't, for me, it's like I'm just seeing one aspect of the interaction, right? Like I don't.
You can sense her energy though, right? You can sense everyone's energy back then, even.
Yeah, of course. Like like when you're teaching kids, you have to be aware, of like everybody responds differently. Like some kids you got to be hard on, and that's the only way that they're gonna, like especially boys, right? Like a lot of times, if a boy is a bit of a hard nut, they need to know that well, there's a bigger dog in the yard, right?
Actually, this would be interesting because Wendy before I knew her.
Yeah.
So like, what did you get from her back then? I know she was very young, but
yeah, like so they just always had fun, really. Like we tried to keep it as well. I tried to make it as fun as possible. Like every instructor's a little bit different, but yeah, like she was just just to me, I would say she was a very bright in a happy sense.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And yeah, like even like
it's interesting though, isn't it? Do you know about her blogs and stuff?
No.
She had written a lot of dark posts and poems.
Really?
Yeah. So when I met her, I noticed this.
Yeah.
Like wow, for a very bright person, you have a lot of dark. And I realized she's navigated through the darkness. So I think her trauma, she wanted to kill herself when she was very young too. Like I'm talking like a toddler.
What?
She wanted to, what do you call it? Suffocate herself in the cupboard. She used to tell people. Yeah.
Wow.
She was very open with this with friends as well. So I can share this without fear because we're like that. That's why we are able to connect with people. You know, we're vulnerable.
But why was that? Like, what was the factor behind that?
I think she felt very lonely in life. I think she's an older soul. That's why she maybe couldn't connect with other people or understanding. Only her grandma, she really could connect with the older soul like her grandma. And maybe people didn't understand her until I met her, you know. She had something, she was beyond this realm for sure. She had knowledge, you know, on how to help people, how to see. She probably saw a lot of sadness in the whole world. And that's probably, it was weighing on her in a way.
Yeah. Well, it's hard to connect with people when you
when you
see
feel
things
like
that.
hey guys, like you should be enjoying this. What the heck? And you feel depressed if no one can enjoy it with you. You're alone.
Well, isn't that funny? Because there's a large, I would say, a lot of the world at the moment, like people are always in that state of not necessarily gratitude. They're always like wanting more. You know, oh, life will be better when I achieve X, or when I get this. This is when I'll be happy.
I think it will transition soon, I believe, because they'll get to a point where it doesn't get any more happiness from buying something material. You don't get any more. I have a trick for this, by the way.
Yeah.
If you want to sustain happiness and experiences, you need to share it with people.
Yeah.
So you notice, say, your first time, say, going to a theme park or something. Amazing for you. Imagine you're by yourself. It'll be an amazing experience. You go the second time, not so amazing. You've already done it, right?
Yeah.
There's only so much enjoyment you can have. But if you bring a friend, you can show him what you've enjoyed.
Yeah.
And you can relive it through them. And then you can bring another friend. And then you both are enjoying with the third one too. You see how connection is very important to re-experience something even greater. This is why we hosted a lot of parties in our house with different people. It was amazing every single time. It didn't get boring ever. Because there were so many different personalities, always different every time. I mean, it could have been the same every time. But it was new people, different time, adding them into the experience. And when we saw them enjoy it, we enjoyed it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a very what's the way I want to say this? It's a beautiful thought, because I think a lot of the times people get caught up in this idea of like who's right and wrong, as opposed to just, well, perhaps the beauty's in the discussion, the fact that you can, you know, share like different perspectives.
Yeah.
And like talk through those things, and, you know,
it's a relationship.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
Right. Like
you need to learn how to get together.
Well,
like,
we talked about this, you know, before we started the podcast, about how love and hate are so connected, in the sense of like the people that get you the most angry are usually the ones that you love the most.
Yeah. The duality, you need to have both.
Yeah.
To enjoy one, right?
Yeah. Because if you just didn't care, well, like, yeah, you wouldn't waste any emotion on that person. Like if they
wouldn't even be in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah. There'd be no connection.
Yeah. Do you find it hard though, like, you know, when you're surrounding yourself, like, you know, even in this house, right? Like you're surrounded by all these memories.
So I love that. I'd rather spend time alone and face those emotions. So I've gotten to the point where I don't run away from my traumas. That's why we're able to help people through those. Don't be afraid of it, as long as you have someone to help you. But for me, I had Wendy's voice in my head.
Yeah.
And my own too. My own positive. I'm an optimistic guy. Regardless of what I've been through, I will. Okay, like I'll have my days where I don't believe in anything, right? You know, but I somehow get out of it. You know, and I'm grateful for that I have that mindset.
So then, like I know you got this big whiteboard upstairs.
Yeah.
And you know, obviously, as you go through your process of like processing all the information and all this sort of stuff, like, how like where do you think this is all leading you? You know,
I'm not gonna think too far ahead, so I'm just living more present nowadays.
Yeah,
that's why I'm doing this podcast with you. In fact, I feel like, you know, I told you recently, like I've been thinking, I found my purpose. Yeah, which is something, because I recently came back from Korea and Japan, where suicide rates are very high there. Yeah, yet they have a lot. So I went there not to just enjoy myself or not only just to enjoy myself, because the food is great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you have a preference between Korea and Japan?
I can't say that, otherwise I'll offend people. No, I'm kidding. Okay. Japan. Okay.
Yeah.
Japan is always there.
You know-
I think a lot of people would agree.
I know so many people that have gone to Japan in this last year. It's so crazy.
Exchange rates probably.
Yeah, exchange rates, cheap flights, I think, and like
Yeah.
they're really trying to bolster the economy through tourism and things like that.
Oh, they're turning around now. There's taxes now.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're increasing like cover charges and stuff.
Wow. Okay.
So there's too many now.
Yep.
Stop calling, guys.
So talk to me about this trip. So you only just recently got back, right? So how long did you go for? And
I went there to ground myself.
Yeah.
I went for 16 days because I can't take too much time off business, even though I want to. And I spent how many days in Korea? I think a week in Korea.
Yep.
And 9 days in Japan. I did have a purpose to go to this trip. It was like I wanted to understand people halfway across the world. Do they go through the same problems as us? You know, what's the differences? Do they go through the same emotions? Why the suicide rate's so high there? You know, even though it seems like they have so much going on there, you can never be bored. You can never be sad. You can just distract yourself all day.
Yeah.
But I think that's where the problem is. When you distract yourself too much and you don't spend time with yourself, which that's why I force myself to spend time with myself at home. I actually watch romantic films and I cry the heck out of it. So, I mean, there's so much I haven't talked about, but like I'll get back to it anyways. With the romance films, I do it to release my emotional baggage. To cry is a beautiful thing. Like we all tuck it away, thinking like it's that's yuck, you know, it's weak. Look at you, feminine man crying, you know, you're a man, right? I'm like, you try spend time alone, and with a, you know, dead partner, by yourself instead of going to drink with other people.
Yeah.
Try to do that. That is hard, but also beautiful, because there's days where I feel really heavy here and it's not in my control. I need to work that day. There's so much orders, right? But when that's heavy, I'm like, okay, something's telling me. I feel like it's Wendy forcing me to face it. Stop your work. You don't need to do that stuff. I literally stopped it for that day. I sat down. I'm just gonna put on a romantic film, and I was like, I'm pretend Wendy's there watching it with me like we used to. Actually, I used to enjoy a lot of action movies, but after this, I don't watch violence anymore.
Softened you.
Yeah. Oh, softened heart. I don't know. You know? I'm ready for a fight anytime.
Softened and hardened you.
Yeah. So, I just cried it all out, and I felt so much lighter. And then I figured out the secret is to release stuff what people think, holding it in. You know, like you're strong. Let it out. It takes more strength to do that. In front of people, especially when you're not afraid. I have no fear. Actually, I do have a little bit of fear. That's why I didn't kill myself. If I didn't have fear at all, that's dangerous.
Yeah.
You need to have a little bit of fear. If I fully believed in the afterlife and had no fear, I'd cross over instantly to go meet Wendy and hang out with her. So I think a lot of people would, and that's dangerous.
So what was your fear? Or what is your fear, I should say?
The fear of, I mean, everyone has this innate fear of death, right? Like you have to. It's in your instincts to survive. I think it's important to feel that. Otherwise, you're dead.
Yeah,
you're basically not alive, right? Fear drives people for sure.
Yeah,
and love drives people too. It's just an energy, and as long as you have one of them, it's important. That's what keeps you going. If you have none of it, that's when it gets dangerous.
Yeah, well, I think there's purpose to almost every emotion.
Yeah,
you know, and whether they end up being your destruction or your foundation, just comes down into your application, right? Like hate is a very, very powerful thing. You know, people that have been bullied, you know, and they harbor this resentment, you know, this rage towards the person that bullied them, but then they channel that into something productive.
Yeah.
You know, like that evolves you as a person.
That's right. Yeah.
Likewise, fear. Fear of failure. Some people have fear of failure,
Yeah.
and that drives them to to try and be successful.
Yeah. Yeah.
Love is a very powerful emotion. I think everybody can resonate with how love can drive us to do things. And a lack of love can also drive us to do a lot of things.
Yes.
If we don't see the support or the love from the people that are supposed to mean the most to us,
you seek it elsewhere.
Yeah.
You try to get it from having more money, which it works for some. You can buy friends. You can, definitely. If you're a little bit more generous in this world, I guarantee you probably have a lot of people around you. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, emotions are life. I think it's important to feel and have the right support, obviously. Because in those darkest times, suicide is hard to understand, to navigate. There's more to it than just saying, all you need to do is just face it. No. Yeah. It's you're playing very dangerous at a dangerous point. I'm lucky to be here still. Right. And it's so many variables. It's people reaching out. It's everything, right? Finding hope, the light at the end of the tunnel is all you need, right? A glimmer of hope. Nothing, doesn't matter what it is. But for me, I had a lot. I must have been pretty bad if I needed a lot to see that light.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we can delve into deeper supernatural stuff as well. That convinced me that, to have the hope that Wendy is still out there.
Yeah. So let's do it, eh? So what?
This was after the ICU.
Yeah.
First night back home. Actually, Phil came back home to guide me, and he actually slept in Wendy's position.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he's such a good guy. Like, who would do that, right?
Did you end up cuddling Phil?
I don't know what actually, my pants. I woke up with my pants down. Actually,
thanks, Phil.
Yeah. he might have cuddled me instead.
Oh no!
So I don't know, but this is where it gets strange. But it's happened so many times that I don't feel it's strange anymore. First night, I had this download, a brain download. I call it a brain download because I woke up in my bed. It was 3 a.m. roughly. It's always at 3 a.m. If you guys, it's the witching hour. They call it 3 to 5 a.m. So I had throughout my whole life, I had a lot of sleep paralysis. I've had 100 to 200 sleep paralysis cases from my very young age, seeing different things. Mostly people feel fear. Have you ever had sleep paralysis?
Yeah.
You feel fear, right?
Okay, I'll share some stories on this because this is where we're going into the woo-woo, guys. But bear with me on this one. So now I've shared, that my dad did the wrong thing by my mum, in their marriage, and I harbored a lot of resentment to my dad for a long period of time as a result of it. But the lady that he was seeing was what's the right way? Well, I don't want to bad name any religion either. So let's just say she was religious from a Southeast Asian culture, and basically, like in those sorts of cultures, you can put curses on people, right? And I had this experience with sleep paralysis, and you could say, okay, well, perhaps Johnny's just having sleep paralysis, and your mind goes very vivid, or, and I can describe the situation that I had. So basically, it was like, if you think about like
how old were you? Sorry,
I was training already, so
Okay.
I would have been like in my
teens.
Yeah, teens or 20s.
Okay.
Yeah, but it would have been late teens or 20s, somewhere around there. And like it's almost like I guess you could call it like your stereotypical kind of a ghost appearance, like a feminine ghost wearing white, long hair.
Okay, like Grudge or something like that.
Kind of like that, yeah, like what you'd see in a horror movie kind of a thing. And it's interesting, like whether those things, you have commonality because you might have seen them in those movies, or where did the idea of these things come from? Right?
Yep.
Is it art imitating life, or is it actually life imitating art, where these things can exist? And I guess, for me, I would say I was fortunate in the sense that I was already training martial arts in that perspective. So, you know, for me, it made me quite confident to deal with whatever was coming my way, so to speak. And so, you know, like, so usually when people have sleep paralysis, it's like you're stuck and then you get scared or whatever.
Yep.
But for me, like, I would like be trying to fight back. And I don't know if you ever had this experience, but for me, like when I try and fight back, like my whole body would then like erupt into like, you know, almost like pins and needles, like a tingling sort of sensation.
You could actually move.
Yeah, and I could break my way out.
Can you see your own body or?
Yeah, like I'm in
Yeah,
my body. I'm like, it's like you're awake and you know, you see this thing there, and then like I would like.
You can't discern reality. It's real.
It's look like it's almost like it's real, right?
Okay.
You know, and like you could say that, okay, you're just like in a very light stage of sleep and then you're hallucinating, but then your body, your mind doesn't have full control over your body. But like I could like sort of like will my way out of this.
Yeah. So normally I have like a wide angle vision. Do you have that, or is it like real, like how you're seeing here?
No, it'd be like how I'm seeing. So like if I'm lying in bed, I'm lying in bed.
Okay.
And then I'd like see this thing.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah. And then like I would, you know, if I'm being held down or whatever, I would like be trying to fight.
You could feel like you
know, because you feel like you can't move, right? You, like
when you broke out of that, man.
No, when I broke out, like my whole body would just like erupt into like pins and needles, like I'm on fire.
Yeah.
And like the thing would like disappear. Okay. And then I'd be up and I'm awake now.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So that was like how I experienced that sort of thing. Now, you know, whether that's got anything to do with that relationship, who knows, right? But it's just like the timing was quite coincidental. Maybe it's, you know, you could reason it many different ways, but you know, that was my experience. And why I think that's interesting is because like I had another friend who had you know an issue with sleep paralysis or like had experienced something like that. And before I described like what my apparition had looked like, he had described a similar thing.
That's strange how we all have similar experiences.
So, you know, whether, like I said, like you could say it's art imitating life or life imitating art, where maybe we've seen these movies like The Ring or whatever. I can't even remember if I had seen those movies at that point in time. But like,
where did we even get the idea of sleep paralysis? I didn't know what it was, and I just had it, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Well, most people.
I mean, there's a scientific reasoning for it.
Yeah. So the scientific reasoning is like, you know, you're in a light stage of sleep, and obviously your
dream world is like mixing with your
and so you know certain parts of your brain, like you can't control your motor functions, but you can, you know, and that's why you feel like you can't move, right? And I think a lot of guys have this dream, you know, where when you're younger, especially, it's like you have these dreams where you're fighting, and you feel like you can't. No matter how hard you might throw the hardest punch in the world, but it feels like a pillow fist, you know?
Yes.
And I think most males resonate with that. And I think what sort of clears those dreams is then doing combat sports.
Okay. There's actually a trick in the dreams. You have to generate them getting hurt as well. Your brain has to generate that. You only think about your punch.
Yeah. So, but I know I'm like especially twitchy, like when I go to sleep and stuff like that. Because I remember even as a kid, like I would like wake myself up because I've like kicked so hard that I've kicked the wall.
Did you have a lot of nightmares?
Stub my toe. No, I just always dream about fighting.
Okay.
This is probably why I ended up in combat sports, because I always would dream about fighting.
Oh, this is before you even started martial arts?
Well, I started martial arts when I was young. I did karate from when I was 5.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So I did. I've done it like majority of my whole life.
Okay, that was your Arnold.
Yeah, and I actually think I sort of worked this out. You know, when my dad was diagnosed with pancreatic cancer, and like I was thinking about a lot of my thoughts about my dad and my memories with my dad. I realized that was one of the things that my dad probably passed on to me, was this love of action movies like martial arts, Jackie Chan, like all that kind of stuff. Because like my dad, obviously growing up in Singapore, like he did train martial arts as a kid as well.
So he taught you a few things, right?
Yeah, right. And then I still have this memory, and I even said to him, like, you know, I can't even, because I was so young at the time, like I sometimes question, was I dreaming it or was it reality, right? And like what it was like, you know, in the living room of that first house that I lived in, my dad, like I would have been young. I might have only been like maybe 3 or 4. I don't know the exact age, but I saw my dad do this jump, and he like spun in the air, and it like from my perspective, like
The most
if I try and be
amazing thing, right?
Yeah, if I try and be rational about it, okay, chances are he just did a 360 jump. Nothing too spectacular, right?
Yeah.
But for my 3-year-old brain being, this tall off the ground and seeing my dad's head almost hit the lamp, and it could have just been perspective, but it looked like his head like touched the roof almost.
Yeah.
Like that was like, wow, I want to learn how to do that.
Oh, it's being like having that kid mindset is so beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's why like you can see why they have so much joy.
Yeah.
We experience so much joy just by watching kids, be happy and watching things.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. I understand.
Yeah.
That's why you're instructor.
Well, yeah. So that's why I enjoyed. Yeah, I really enjoyed teaching young people.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the impact that you can make on somebody's life can be profound. Like you don't know what they're going through.
That's right.
You're giving them a physical outlet to maybe deal with something that is emotional in nature.
I don't even think it should stop at children. Like I feel every interaction anyone you come across at a store, even like a checkout person, every interaction is important. And Wendy was always happy and bright to everyone. Doesn't matter what walk of life they came from. Even homeless people, do not judge anyone. Everyone's human. They deserve the same respect, the same energy we give everyone. Yeah.
Yeah. So I want to go back to your sleep paralysis. Let's go.
Okay, so that night I had a brain download. It was so it felt like tingling from the outsides of my brain right into the center. I don't know, is that the pituitary gland? I felt every single cell, and there was also a sound that came with it. It was a charging sound. It was like and it powered up. I woke up as soon as it powered to the peak, sat up out of my bed. It's like 3-4 a.m. I had so much energy. For the next whole 2-3 months, it was like Wendy transferred her essence, her leftover energy to me, whatever she had left, because I only needed 2 hours sleep every night, and I was driven. I knew what I needed to do. Like I knew what to say. For some reason, I was able to function. She saved me in that period. A lot of other people saved me as well. But I think people would agree I was in a very strange state of mind in that period.
Yeah.
But having no sleep and being okay to function still.
It's very concerning.
Yeah.
A lot of your friends and family around
Could
you.
have been trauma. I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, is Kai okay? Like he's not sleeping, right?
But I tried to really, I was very convinced what happened in that 3 a.m. That's not the only experience. So there's 5 in my room upstairs. The second time, I think, so I was being led down this rabbit hole. Like this is where the tech glitches come in. So these robot vacs that I have, they go off by themselves. Like this was 2 weeks after Wendy passed. They went off by themselves, right? And so what happened? I was led to finding these AirPods that she had. She got it for her 30th birthday. These AirPods, I knew right away what to do with it because we learned all this stuff when I first met her. It was to listen to frequencies while I was sleeping, alpha state. So we studied the Silver method, which it's you can look it up. It's by Jose Silva. They used it in the army for meditation to be able to quick learn things. Telepathy, everything.
Yeah.
But then I knew just to put it in while I was sleeping. I put alpha waves on. I think it's like 8 to 12 hertz. That night, this female figure in black. It would look like Wendy because she used to wear black long sleeve. Like people that knew her back then, she had this really black long sleeve that she always wore, right? Black hair, long hair as well. Black pants, her training pants. She was at the corner of my bed, and she was pulling me out of my body. She pulled my left leg up, and it was doing this circular thing. Like she was like, it was my chest was pulsating out of my body. I felt all the vibrations. My hands were out, floating like this. So my physical hands were down. I was in my bed. I was conscious, saw everything. Actually, my friend, I think he was also sleeping on the floor next to me. That's all happening. My hands like, what? Like I feel my spirit hands, right? Like, what the heck is happening? this presence on the corner of the bed lifting my leg up, doing circles only on the left leg, chest pulsating out to the audio, the binaural beats. And then I was trying to get out. I was like trying to, but my head was stuck with my head, maybe because of the earphones. The audio was locking me. But after that, I heard the word evil in such a faint feminine voice, like evil, right? What the heck? Okay, I felt a bit of fear after they said that. I was like, okay, is it Wendy? Is it not Wendy? I don't know what else. Whatever I did like this Hadouken with my spiritual hands. I literally I projected my energy because I knew, okay, think good. Just project and push away that way. I woke up out of my bed, disappeared. The presence, everything. I woke up and my hands were still tingling, chest was tingling, and the left leg was tingling. Everything that was coming out of the body was maybe what you felt, that vibration, burning feeling.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's why I know I delved down the rabbit hole of astral projection and out of body. I was trying to achieve complete out of body. So that was one of the other experiences. There was also another one where I heard Wendy's voice. Same thing, 3:30 a.m. or something like that. I was frozen in your bed, like sleep paralysis. You see everything like normal, and then something was tickling me. I didn't see anything yet, but I was like, "What the heck? Something's tickling me here." Like it felt like Wendy. She used to I hate the neck tickles, man. Right? But my spirit hands grabbed this thing here. I felt it. I grabbed a wrist. And then it said, "Ow, you're hurting me," in Wendy's voice. I pulled it away and it said, that's what Wendy used to say, "Ow, you're hurting me," when I used to hug her too tightly. Yeah? She said it in such a cute way, but I knew it was her. She was playful, that's for sure.
Yeah.
After that, this thing, presence on my left side while I'm still frozen in bed, poked me on the ribs, and I felt this shock. And then I woke up and it was 3:30 a.m. Right? I knew it was Wendy straight away. I knew it straight away. Just her energy was back, but the playful version.
Yeah.
Right? People will know this because there was another story around her funeral where her auntie overseas is not a medium, right? But she's had 8 interactions with Wendy, conversations in her visions, dreaming, sleep paralysis, I don't know what. Very detailed conversations. Wendy told her things that no one else, she shouldn't know about family. She also told her what was happening with her body. She said things like, "I'm gonna," like that. So after they investigate the body, right? What happened to the body? It's just a normal process, right? But Wendy was like, "I'll try to get my body out by Wednesday, have the funeral on Friday and Saturday." And it all worked out. They got the body on the day that she said she got her own body out, basically. Normally they take a lot longer, but it happened so quickly. Within 2 days, they released the body. Right? It's not normal for a 30-year-old to fall down. It questions a lot. I question it. So she wrote her own eulogy through the auntie. She told her exactly what to say, what color the headstone should be, black and gold. She said, "I want my picture to be like here, and the grandma, she's buried with her grandma. I want the grandmas to be there. I want my quote there, 'Life is beautiful.'" She said all these things to the auntie overseas that is not a medium. Yeah. She just so happened to be able to communicate with her and only her. She said, Wendy even said, "Why can you only hear me? And no one else can hear me?" She also described the other side. She cannot enter through doors. You need to keep it open. She doesn't know why as well. And she even said things like what should be happening with the house and car and everything. So everything goes to the person that passes away. That's what we signed, there was one thing that we didn't do, which was we have a dog, it's Jack Russell. We were supposed to bring him to the funeral, and she said, "Bring the dog to the funeral, and whoever he follows, me or the dad, is where he should stay." But I didn't care if Wendy's dad and mum loved it.
The dog.
The dog's name is Mush.
Yeah,
he's a beautiful boy. Yeah, So she said so much details, right? This was one conversation. This was one of the conversations she said all of this. So I read that speech in the funeral. She did even joke at the end as well. She says, because she thanked the auntie for choosing out her dress for the, her body. Because she said, I have a poor taste in fashion. Yeah, it's pretty funny. I knew that's her. I know that's her. That's her personality. We have that little joking as well. And that's why I believe that she was doing something in the background. Not only that, I'm telling you, my car, I told you about my car radio. It changed song like 4 times, and it always changes to a song that I like, my favorite song first to get my attention, and then the lyrics start making sense. Start changing the songs every 20 seconds. That happened at one point. She was trying to send a message to me. That never happened throughout all my life.
Yeah.
Why did it happen there? Even my one of those Google Nests, it normally plays like a playlist, right? But it just changes to a random song, that my favorite song that I used to sing in this house. I'm sure I heard a lot of people also experience this in the world. They get your attention first by, they know what would get your attention.
Does it ever make you feel concerned for her? Like if she's still hanging around, kind of a thing, like, and I'll preface this, with some thinking from my perspective, right? Just like when my dad passed away, and I have told this will be the third time I told this story, but like I basically had this experience where my dad's spirit came to say goodbye to me because he passed away at home, and I was at my house because it was my daughter's birthday, and I basically said to his spirit, it's okay, Dad, you can go. I won't hold on to you. And then I was watering the garden, I put down the hose, and I just burst into tears, and I knew he was gone. And so, for some people, they'll be like, oh, that Johnny has a whole bunch of woo-woo. But I guess, do you ever wonder whether she needs to move on to, like, wherever she needs to go to next, and if you're still holding on to her?
I did wonder that, but also I'm happy for her to stay as long as she wants. It's up to her, I don't care if she wants to hang in this house and knock things over. You take all the time you want.
Yeah.
You can go on whenever you want. But it's been said that Wendy she's communicated that she's in heaven to the auntie. And she's not from this realm. She's like trying to help everyone, and she's still around. But I think they needed her up there. Yeah, that's what I feel, and I know that her presence actually deteriorated over time. So the first 2 weeks, very powerful. I'm telling you, tech glitches. She was able to interact with so many things, people's dreams. Then it moved to people's dreams, not just me. I've had countless dreams, 50 dreams with her. And these dreams are really different from my normal dreams, I'll tell you that. But also many of our friends have experienced dreams, even my friends' children that are only like 4 or 5 years old, having dreams with Wendy, and Wendy's telling them, I'm in heaven and stuff. Like what?
Yeah.
And I'm telling them things that they shouldn't really know as well. It's strange, I tell you that. So it progressed down to there, and then it went to, I could only see her in dreams. Then I couldn't see her in that sleep paralysis form anymore. Then I had to go dream within a dream to see her. Even some other friends had this same thing in the same period. Dream within a dream. Then they saw Wendy, and then they woke up and they were still in a dream, and they woke up again. So strange. And
it's like Inception, the movie. You remember that?
Yeah, exactly like that.
Yeah, 4 layers deep.
Yeah. So and so the latest one is I went dream within a dream, and then out of body in that dream to spend time with Wendy for only 10, 15 seconds. It was so hard to maintain that connection, to try to find each other at that frequency. Because she's like off somewhere. I don't know. We don't know, right?
Yeah.
And it was so beautiful, that moment, I tell you that. The dream within the dream, and out of body to find her for that 10 seconds, 15 seconds. I felt everything. I got to the point where I smelt her. I can't smell in my dreams normally. But at that time, I smelt her. I could feel her kissing my ear. and her smile was so peaceful, so detailed. She even gestured for the other ear, and I'm like, while she's doing that, I'm like asking her, so how do I find you? Like, you're not making it very easy. You're not saying anything. She's just smiling and enjoying that moment. And then I always wake up after I see her in my bed, like very like slowly, my eyes back in reality, and it lingers. So I'm in my bed, I'm in that dream world, and it's like she's still there holding on. I could feel her still, her lips on my ear or something. I've experienced it too many times to say that it's it's nothing. No, there's definitely something beyond what we know, and we don't have the technology to understand it yet. That's what I think.
Far out.
Yeah, there's so much more, but yeah, that's what comes to mind right now.
Yeah. All right. Talk to me about. I'm going to switch gears a little bit because you mentioned grounding mats before.
Oh, okay. So that rabbit hole.
Yeah. So talk to me about grounding mats.
Grounding mats. It's so they say you're meant to walk barefoot on grass and like the earth to connect to the earth's electrons. We trade positive electrons for negative ones. I think we want the negative ones, so that I think it's all about your inflammation in your body. So like I don't know if you believe in 5G, all that stuff, but technology in general, electromagnetic radiation causes inflammation. I mean it's a scientific fact, right? But what grounding does to the earth is it helps to draw that out through the electron exchange. Okay, so I recently started the business in grounding sheets, but not for that reason. I didn't care about the grounding benefits of inflammation. I didn't care about being alive at that point, right? I did it to astral project. I went down the rabbit hole of Reddit, and then everyone's like, "Get a grounding mat."
Really?
Yeah.
So what's the logic behind it?
I don't know. I kind of just tried everything, right?
Oh, okay.
But I think it's because because the inflammation in your body. If you have too much pain in your body, it locks you here. But if you have less pain and it's more relaxed, meditation, then you can easily come out of your body. I think that's why they suggest it. And that day I got it. Like I got one to trial with. I just quickly had to use it. So as soon as my friends, he dropped it off and he left. It was in the afternoon. I went upstairs. I just set it up.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, I gotta try this.
And you're just sitting on it?
Yeah, I set an alarm. I always like set an alarm to wake me up so I don't sleep the whole day.
Yeah.
I slept on it. I used the frequencies as well, the earphones.
Yeah.
And then I had a dream of Wendy, man. It was clear as heck. It was a version of this house, but very bright. And she was wearing white, like we were in heaven. In that dream, I was setting up the grounding mat and telling her, hey, Wendy, I got this grounding mat.
Yeah.
You can try it out. And then she came behind me and she said, I'm proud of you. And then I think there's a meme now going on, like the guys never hear that someone says that they're proud of them. Sorry, that just comes to mind. That was a beautiful moment, but that wasn't the only beautiful moment. She pecked me on the lips right here, right? And I felt it. And as I was coming back into reality in my real room, I could still feel her lips on me. And that's why I'm like, okay, there's something about this. There's a frequency that we don't see and feel, but it's right there. We're just like, she's around, but I just need to connect with her on that frequency. And I can only do that in my half sleep state. But I know there's others out there can do it in their conscious state. You know, you always hear about the mediums that can see with their third eye and stuff. I mean, there's so many that can, and there's a lot of truth to it. Even though I guess there's a lot of the scammers as well.
Yeah, that's right.
But I'm not here to like. I'm here to just find Wendy. This is my journey, and through that, I think it can help bring a lot of people peace about, death. I think so, because we're all scared of what's after the unknown, But what if we come back? What if we're never dead? What if we just go onto a different frequency, different band, Maybe that's where Wendy is, and I have to find more ways. I'm getting there.
Yeah. Far out, man. It's intense.
No, I'm getting used to it now.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid of it. That's for sure. I think I've achieved out of body 3 times, 3 or 4 times. I have another friend trialing it as well,
Yeah.
and he's achieved it a few times as well. He's seen his own body. So we're trying the test where someone writes a number down, and we write a 4-digit number on a note next to my bed. I keep it next to my bed. So once we come out of the body, we pick it up and look at it, try to confirm it, right? I've managed to look at it. I was close. I got like 2.5 of like pretty close, almost 3 numbers correct, right? There's something to it, right? Like, what are the chances of getting 2 out of 4 numbers? You know,
Yeah, that's right.
it's quite low as well. But in that state, when I came out of my body, I remembered, okay, I wanted to go get that note. I actually floated that way. I picked it up. I sat in my bed. Sorry, before that, how I knew I was out of my body. Okay, so I had a bottle of water next to me because I knew you drink more water to retain your memories of your dreams, right? So I kept a bottle next to there. I woke up and then I unscrewed the bottle. I drank. Nothing came out, but I knew there was water. So I'm like, oh, I'm out of my body.
Yeah.
That's what I knew, right?
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, damn. Okay, this is working. All right. And then I was like, okay, try to get that note. And I lie down and I slid that way. And then I somehow back in bed sitting up. And I was like looking at it like this. Right? The post-it note. I was like flipping it around. Like I saw the 4-digit numbers, but it was kind of unclear. I was trying to assess each digit first. And the first one I knew was a 2. Yeah, I just like it was a 2 for sure. Next one was like I thought it was a 2 again or something, or a 5 or something, like something like a S, or I don't know. And then the third one, I thought it was a 7 or like a 6, right? And the last one was like I didn't get a chance to I didn't have time to look at the last one, but I couldn't really see it. So it was the actual number was 2591 or something. I got 2 and a bit. So the 9 looked like kind of looks like an upside down 6, right? Or 7 even. But the note during the out of body was kept on changing. There was all these hieroglyphs popping up randomly. I flipped it around. There's even more popping up. That world is just crazy. You just don't know what can happen in that world, right? It's your you don't know if it's real or not.
Yeah, that's right.
But to me, if you believe it, that's all that matters. It's real.
Yeah. Well, it's also your experience, right? Like,
Exactly.
yeah.
How do I know what your experience of life is? How can I confirm that?
Yeah.
How do I know you're looking at the same color as me? Is that green? Are you experiencing green like I am? We don't know.
Yeah. That's one of the things that they say about, when people are in like a psychosis, or like they see their perception of their reality is their reality, right? You can't go and say to them, if they say, I see, like as an example, they say something like, oh, I see a big pink elephant in the room. If you just go and say, well, there's no pink elephant in the room, then straight away, like, you've lost that person, because they're like, well, to them, it's real. Like, they can see this pink elephant in the room, and they can't understand why it's as real to them as that the elephant is not real to you, right? And that's how strongly they believe in it. And so it's like, yeah, it's a really tough one in that sense, because like people.
This is a simulation theory thing, right? We don't know what is this? Can anything exist here as long as we conjure it up in our mind?
Well, I think there's a
human flights, for example, or telepathy. Let's get onto that later. But yeah,
yeah. Well, the telepathy one is an interesting one.
Yeah, it's a new topic. It's being confirmed soon. Like,
yeah, there's a lot of people talking about it now, and like there's like some documentary or something, the telepathy tapes.
Yeah, do you think CIA is onto us now?
I think in anything, part of like the rationale is that, if you can discredit a few bits and pieces, then the idea is that you want to throw everything out that goes with it. But I always say, like, one of the things I think is very important is that, part of learning the lessons in life is that you don't throw everything out just because some parts of it aren't good, right? So as an example, like we can use a very practical example in martial arts. It depends on what your purpose is. So if your purpose is for combat sports,
Mm.
then yeah, like there are certain martial arts that you should probably like not throw out, but like just they're not going to be as prominent, right? But if your purpose is perhaps learning how to control your body for parkour,
Mm.
then there are certain martial arts that are probably better for that than other martial arts,
Yeah.
right? Like, you know, if you're trying to learn how to do tricking,
Mm.
and you know, from that perspective, like if your purpose is to do tricking, well, taekwondo is probably a great sport for that.
Yeah, there's optimizing and there's efficiency in the universe, right?
Yeah.
It wants to be efficient, this universe.
Yeah. So likewise, it's like the same way that you you know, when we talk about some of these very woo-woo sort of topics, it's like you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater because it depends on what your purpose is.
Mm.
If your purpose is to try and prove something from a scientific basis, well, of course, yeah, like that's going to be quite difficult. Like, you know, like even like the sleep paralysis thing, like, you know, I can give you like the scientific perspective in the sense of like, you know, it's your mind connection, or you're in that REM state of sleep where your motor function's not there, but you have an awareness of what's around you, kind of a thing.
Yeah.
But like there are experiences that, you know, whether it's, you know, psychedelics or those sorts of things that people use, that give them a different lens to look at, or a different lens to look through.
Mm.
Because no matter what you do in, like, you know, in the real world, so to speak, you are applying a lens to it. You know, you've got filters over your eyes, whether they're given to you by your parents or the media that you consume, or
Right. Our focus on the world is so small.
Yeah.
There's so many things happening out there.
Yeah.
Like whatever you see on TV is only like a small percentage.
And you've only got a capacity in your brain to handle a certain number of things.
That's right.
Well, at any
Like-
point in time as well.
Imagine you were friends with 8 billion people.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
It's too much overload. You'll forget so many of them. Right? You blow up your mind to try to remember all their names.
That's right. And like that, you know, like it depends how wide you want to cast the net.
Yeah.
You know, like I was mentioned this point to you before. Like if you think about, like, you know, here's just a thought experiment in terms of like when you think about, you know, people the past lives things. There's a lot of people that believe in past lives, right? And my thought experiment is like, okay, well, what if those past lives were just the memories of your ancestors? You know, that your parents obviously had a certain set of memories up until the day that you were born, you were conceived, so to speak. Likewise, your grandparents up until your parents were conceived, and then your great grandparents, and so on. And then, you know, if you look at the idea that, you know, how long have people been around for us to get to this point in time? Like, how many lives have been
Right.
lived
Right.
that are in your DNA, that's in the blood flowing in your veins?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many organisms in us already?
Yeah.
So there's all these life forms in us. Like, what are we?
Yeah.
Are we the life forms as well? What, their past lives as well?
Well, so this is the thing, right?
Right.
Like, yeah. So it just depends on the lens that you want to view it in. I think it's a kind of an interesting. I think it's an interesting thought experiment because I was like, you know, one of my favorite sci-fi series of books is the Dune series of books, and like the whole it's kind of explored in that way because they sort of go through like this account of history. Like obviously it's, you know, it's in the Dune series, in their world, in the Dune world, so to speak. It's like this account of history, and they cover a period of like 10,000 years and beyond, right? And like it was one of those things where, you know, you're going to come out of this, just like most people with psychedelic experiences, you're going to come out of this and things aren't quite the same, you know, because you sort of look at life and you can go, okay, well, this is either all meaningless or there is a greater meaning to all of this, right? Because it's meaningless in the sense that, you know, yeah, like in 100 years we'll be dead. What do we care? Right? In 1,000 years, like how many people do you know from 1,000 years ago? How many people do we know from 1924? 1920, yeah. No, wait, 25? 1925.
Yeah, it's,
Got what year I'm
it's
in.
only what was written about it, right?
Yeah.
That's the only log we have.
Well, I if you were to ask me somebody that existed in 1925, I probably can't. I wouldn't even be able to confirm if that was 1925 or not. Right? Like I think bar the major milestones, if you were to say who was around in 1945, when World War II was in place, well, most people could probably name a few names.
That's right.
Not always the good ones.
Yeah.
Right? And that's just a sliver of like
you can go back to, you're talking like when Jesus was around, or you know,
that's 2,000 years.
yeah, exactly.
Right? you know, there's recorded, you know, like for Asians, you know, like Chinese people or Chinese background, like Chinese heritage people, like, you know, there's like records up to 5,000 BC or something like that, maybe more. I don't know the exact number. So historians, you can come crucify me, but like, yeah, there's like, I think that was one of the beautiful things about Chinese culture is that they did have a system of documenting things. So you have a recorded history, which is quite long. And then you can go down the further pathways of looking at, you know, when the archaeologists start to dig up these sites and realize that, you know, people existed 20,000 years ago.
We just don't know how to
40,000 years ago.
discern from fantasy or fiction, like, you know, like non-fiction or fiction, like maybe they're like just made up their stories on, you know, the carvings on the stones for entertainment. We don't even know.
Well, you know, I often ask this question.
It's gonna get dangerous now when the AI, right?
Yeah.
You might think something happened now when, say, people like 500 years later watch over things now.
But it's so easy to put those thoughts into people.
Yeah.
You know, like even like, so, you know, I often ask this when I was studying, like when we were doing English in high school, and I would be like, did Shakespeare really like have all these layers, like to like the writing that he produced? You know, when you think about like, so even if we just take
we never know the full story. No way.
well, like
We just like interpret it.
yeah, we exactly. I think a lot of those layers are layers that we've introduced.
Yeah.
You know, that so that we can, you know, then do
Make
this
sense of it.
this critical writing, basic, like, you know, for the English language, to dissect a story that was probably quite simple. You know, it's a love story, right? And it was in the time that they were growing up. You know, these two families hated each other. It was forbidden, and they chose to kill themselves over it, right? So you could look at it from that sort of layer.
Yeah. There's probably a lot more to it, obviously. Like they probably had mortgages to pay as well. No.
But then you can go down this like alternative pathway of like, you know, we spend so much energy in dissecting these sort of themes, and I think it's only because it resonates for us on a human level. Like all of these emotions, whether they exist in like, the emotions that exist today, were the emotions that existed in the past. Which is why when we hear people's stories, they can elicit these kinds of emotions. It's a certain, you know.
This is new studies on this, like the love emotion. Like they say, the heart is the connector of all realms and your past, present, future. I mean that is the driving force of life, and energy in motion, right? Emotion. Our brain is like a tool that we can use to create structures and understanding. Obviously, both are important. But you're right. The emotions are what, you know, we make sense of everything through that. To feel is very powerful in this world. I mean, that's the beauty of the world, is to feel.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a very humbling sort of experience, you know, when, you know, even the things, you know, like even like what you've gone through, not many people in this world would have experienced that.
As much as I'd like to say no one, I don't recommend anyone. I don't want anyone to go through this.
Yeah.
Part of me is like, it's a good experience to feel again, you know, to be humbled and brought back to yourself, to your pure self, stripped away of everything. Like, I don't care if this house burns down or anything. I have nothing left. I could be naked in front of everyone. It doesn't even matter, right? When you're that pure self again, it's when you can really create things. What is it that you want to do here now? You know?
Yeah, we attach so much identity
to objects, and that's the ego, right? And we're creating that all the time. We're recreating that same person. Even when you have your friends, you're creating them, the same idea of them every day. And that's why, like, if you change, your friends will question you. Like, well, you're not Johnny. Like, that's weird. Like, go back to your Johnny, like who Johnny was.
Yeah.
But then after a while, they adapt to your new form. They conform to it. Like, my name isn't even Kai. I told people to call me Kai. It's not even legally Kai. Right? Eventually, everyone started calling me Kai. And it's that easy to make everyone else believe as well.
Yeah.
This is so powerful, this reality, I'll tell you that.
Man, I think let's pull up there.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
If people want to, obviously, you still have some businesses, so let's plug those in case people do want to buy some things.
It's up to you. It's okay. I'm grateful for everything, all this support, but it's not something I need. But thank you. Yeah.
All right. Hope you enjoyed it. It's pretty wild one.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
No, my pleasure.